Alrighty. Let's get this show on road. We got a lot to cover. Let's get to covering. Yes. Get to covering. Shoot, where's the videos? All right, there you go. Alrighty. Let's turn that off. Yes. Yes, sir. I was in the middle of editing it. Yes. Video review is up. Well, it's recorded. Just needs to be edited. That's all. So, let's see. What are we going to go first? What are we doing first? What are we doing? She had the town hall. We can finish up with this. Trump had his telenovela freaking thing going on. So we got that. Frederick get the 5 subs, 5 memberships to the channel.
To the amazing army.
Welcome. Full town hall. Let's look up Trump's
to the amazing
town
army.
hall. Univision, or what was it called? Wasn't it Univision?
Welcome to the amazing army.
Trump responde a
Buenos días, estas son las noticias.
Welcome to the amazing army.
Okay, where is actually the Trump hosts? Okay, Trump.
Welcome to the amazing.
Do we have
army.
the? Do we have that? Trump hosts. Not answering questions, repeating the same lines, exact lines. You can tell she was tense. She was making Biden look like the better choice. We'll see. Because I know a lot of you fucking ninjas. You ninjas are the worst, bro. Some of these black dudes are worse than fucking... are worse than slave owners. Trump talking to Latinos? Yeah. He talked to Latinos. I'm trying to find it. He was answering questions and everything. At least I think he was. Univision, Trump, Univision. Trying to find it. Univision interview. If anyone has the link. Because all we have is a bunch of... Okay. But this is in Spanish. Right? I'm assuming. Oh, this is even the interview. What is this then? It's not even the interview. Exclusive. This was 11 months ago. Nosotros, vosotros, and what else? Ella, if I'm not mistaken.
Welcome to the amazing army.
There's nothing there. God dog it, man. Where's the interview? We don't have an interview? 9 years ago. It had to be today, right? Anybody have the actual link? Damn. That sucks. You can't find anything you want on YouTube sometimes. That is correct. Sometimes. I know the actual video for Kamala Harris dropped. I don't know. Was Breakfast Club the one that would strike you or whatever? It hasn't aired yet? I thought it did air. Because don't they already have clips? What is it, tomorrow? I thought they already had clips. Okay. My bad. Frederick gifted another membership to the army, to the channel. It's the... Yeah, they asked him. Yeah, it's definitely... He's definitely done it. Now, I don't know where to find it.
Con ustedes el campo. Eso el precio.
Tienen que amar a nuestro país, a ti, a nuestra gente. El problema con este gobierno es que
What was the question?
Y con eso el
nosotros queremos trabajadores que vengan, pero tienen que venir legalmente, tienen que amar a nuestro país, a ti, a nuestra gente. El problema con este gobierno es que han perdido totalmente el control. Es el peor presidente y la peor vicepresidenta que hemos tenido en la historia de este país.
Bruh, I wish we could see the freaking interview. I wish we could see the interview. God, dog, man.
The presidential candidates, to no one's surprise, are attempting to reach as many voters as they can now with less than 3 weeks before Election Day. Former President Trump appeared in 2 televised town halls. On Fox News, he largely focused on immigration and the border. Trump also taped a town hall with the Spanish language network Univision in Miami.
Univision. That's crazy, bro. They got a whole Spanish network. We don't have a Spanish. We don't have a black network. Black people. Come on now. Come on now. That's embarrassing. The interview will go live in the next hour. Oh, well? Okay, bet. All right, well, I was going to start off with Trump first. Let's see the town hall. Where's the town hall? Is this the town hall? Where is... That can't be it. How long was the town hall? Quite bizarre. Why is it so difficult to find these things? Today. Fox, get your together. Has that not been released either? Let's go to Fox News. Oh, that's right. She did her freaking interview with Fox News too. Oh my God, so good. Why is it showing me shorts? I want to see the videos. Bro, where are the interviews? Oh, this fucking Sambo. They love bringing on Sambos, bro. Bro, where are the full interviews, man? Just go to another fucking Sambo, Lord in heaven. Just go to the actual page? What do you mean the actual page? What you talking about, Willis? On X? Oh, it's on X? Trump Town Hall, Fox News. I'm not seeing any full-length videos. How's Spider Combat coming along? It's coming along. Working on enemies right now. Fox News is closed. Bro, why are they chopping up into these little bite-sized segments? I can't find the full interview. Should have looked beforehand, but figured it'd be readily available. Fox News did not disclose its all-women town hall with Trump was packed with his supporters. That's funny. Who would have thought Trump packing a town hall at Fox News with his supporters? What are we talking about? What type of stupid nonsense is that? Lucas, the interview was cut short by our team. It was only like 25 to 30 minutes. All right, well, I should be able to find it, right? I don't even see the Trump interview. Why don't they just release these? Trump Town Hall. Or has this not been released? Because we're releasing little, little bits and pieces. But nothing in its full form. Kamala Harris one is 26 and 57 minutes. I don't see the Kamala Harris one. 5, 3, 5, 5. This was 2 days ago, 2 days ago, 2 days ago. Do you see anything? Search Kamala Fox News. What the fuck do you think I did, bro? You don't think that was the first thing I searched? Over 20 minutes. Okay. An hour ago. All right. An hour ago. All right. Here we go. Although I was looking for Trump's interview, but this, I guess this will do. This will suffice.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you. It's good to be with you, Brett.
You know, voters tell pollsters all over the country and here in Pennsylvania that immigration is one of the key issues that they're looking at this election, and specifically the influx of illegal immigrants from more than 150 countries. How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have. And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right
do you,
now,
just a number, do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Brett, let's just get to the point. Okay, the point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
So your Homeland Security Secretary said that 85% of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have
it's a
an
rough
immigration
estimate of
system.
6 million.
Damn, we started off hot already? This is the beginning of the interview. You're already cutting her off. This is interesting. Oh, wait.
People have been released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to the question, I promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
And when you came into office, your administration immediately reversed a number of Trump border policies. most significantly, the policy that required illegal immigrants to be detained through deportation, either in the U.S. or in Mexico. And you switched that policy. They were released from custody awaiting trial. So instead, included in those were a large number of single men, adult men, who went on to commit heinous crimes. So, looking back, do you regret the decision to terminate Remain in Mexico at the beginning of your administration?
At the beginning of our administration, within practically hours of taking the oath, the first bill that we offered Congress, before we worked on infrastructure, before the Inflation Reduction Act, before the Chips and Science Act, before the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021.
Exactly.
It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the... Yes, ma'am.
May I finish responding,
But
please?
this,
you have to let me finish,
You
please.
had the White House and the House and the Senate,
I'm
and they
in the
didn't
middle
bring up
of
that
responding.
This is wild, bro. This is why why don't they treat Trump like this? This is wild. They're like, nah. Nah. We ain't gonna talk. We ain't gonna talk. Be quiet. Kudos for her, bro. Kudos for her for showing up.
To the point you're raising,
Okay.
and I'd like to finish.
Yes, ma'am.
We recognized from day one that, to the point of this being your first question, it is a priority for us as a nation and for the American people. And our focus has been on fixing a problem. And from day one, then, we have done a number of things, including to address our asylum system and put more resources, getting more judges, what we needed to do to tighten up penalties and increase penalties for illegal crossings, what we needed to do to deal with points of entry between border entry points. That's the work we did, and we worked on supporting what was a bipartisan effort, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, to actually strengthen the border. That border bill would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border, which is why I believe the Border Patrol agents supported the bill. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States, which is a scourge affecting people of every background, every geographic location in our country, killing people. It would have allowed us to put more resources into prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, which I have done as the Attorney General, former Attorney General of a border state.
Madam Vice President, a couple of things.
Prosecuted trafficking of drugs, guns, and human beings. And Donald Trump, but let me just finish.
Six Democrats voted against that bill.
Learned about that bill and told them to kill it because he preferred to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And in this election, this is rightly a discussion that the American people want to have. And what they want are solutions, and they want a president of the United States who's not playing political games with the issue,
I hear you,
but actually is focused on fixing it.
6 Democrats voted against that bill. It would have allowed 1.8 million illegal immigrants into the country a year.
Sinema, how is Sinema still, I wonder if she's going to lose her seat, bro. Is she up for re-election this year? I can't believe she's still in office. That's wild to me. Excuse me. Booker.
A lot of conservatives had a problem with it. These are the 6 Democrats. But more importantly, back to the original premise, Jocelyn Nungari, Rachel...
She's not running for re-election? Makes sense.
Morin, Laken Riley, they are young women who were brutally assaulted and killed by some of the men who were released at the beginning of the administration, well before a negotiated bipartisan bill. Former President Clinton actually referred to Laken Riley Sunday, campaigning for you in Georgia, saying if those men had been properly vetted, Laken Riley probably would not have been killed. So if it wouldn't have happened, this is well before any negotiation. This is well before Donald Trump got involved in the politics. This is a specific policy decision by your administration to release these men into the country. So what I'm saying to you, do you owe
Brett,
those families an apology?
Let me just say, first of all, those are tragic cases. There's no question about that. There is no question about that. And I can't imagine
Gotcha questions.
the pain that the families of those victims have experienced for a loss that should not have occurred. So that is true. It is also true that if a border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months that we would have had more border agents at the border, more support for the folks who are working around the clock trying to hold it all together.
Madam Vice President.
To ensure that no future harm would occur. And this election in 20 days will determine whether we have a president of the United States who actually cares more about fixing a problem, even if it is not to their political advantage in an election, because there was a solution, Brett.
Madam Vice President, it was a policy decision in the early part of your administration. I will let one of the mothers talk about it. Take a listen.
Oh, man. They
Because
really
of the
going in.
Biden-Harris administration open border policies catch and release, they were enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program. This meant that they were released into the United States. It was not even a full 3 weeks later that they would take my daughter, Jocelyn Nungare's life. I believe the Biden-Harris administration open border policies are responsible for the death of my daughter.
I'm not sure what happened with her case. Is anyone familiar with her case? I'm not sure what. We can look into it, though. I'm not sure. I'm not very familiar with her case at all.
That's the early days. So do you owe them an apology is what I'm saying.
I will tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I am so sorry for her loss. Sincerely. But let's talk about...
Has Trump ever apologized? Does anyone know if Trump's ever apologized? Interesting.
What is happening right now with an individual who does not want to participate in solutions? Let's talk about that as well.
But do you want to answer
in all
her?
fairness, I told you, I feel awful for what she and her family have experienced.
During that time, you said repeatedly that the border was secure. When in your mind did it start becoming a crisis?
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's administration even before. Let's all be honest about that. I have no pride in saying that this is a perfect immigration system. I've been clear, I think we all are, that it needs to be fixed. We need more. I was just down at the border talking with border.
She's handling this fairly well, bro. I'm not gonna lie. She's handling this fairly well. Especially with the gotcha questions and everything. I'm like, okay, all right.
Agents, and they will tell you, and I'm sure you probably, I know you investigate and you are a serious journalist. They will tell you, we need more judges. We need to process those cases faster. We need the support for those cases that should be prosecuted. They need more resources, and Congress ultimately is the only place that that's going to get fixed, Brett.
Well,
that's how this system works.
That's the premise of this question.
But
There were
that's how the
90
system
plus
works.
executive orders that were rescinded in the first days. Many of those were Trump border policies. I'm not going to stay here because there's other things to talk about, but you frequently talk to the Border Patrol Union for support of that bipartisan bill, and they did. They supported it. But they also just endorsed Donald Trump and said, you've been, quote, a failure with border security.
How the hell did they support the bill and then turn around and say she's been a failure at border security? That's wild. I'm not gonna lie, that is wild. That's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Oh, that's a great bill. We absolutely support this bill. I don't know why Trump wouldn't get this bill passed. She's been a failure for border security, and we're going to support Donald Trump.
Why do you think they said that?
I think they're frustrated, and I get it. They want support. They want support, and that's what that border security bill would have done. These guys down at the border, these men and women, they're working hard. They're working around the clock. I get it.
There's a lot of people that look back at what you said in 2019 when you first ran for president. And there have been changes, and you've talked about some of them. When it comes to immigration, you supported allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's license, to qualify for free tuition at universities, to be enrolled in free health care. Do you still support those things?
Listen, that was 5 years ago, and I'm very clear that I will follow the law. I have made that statement over and over again, and as Vice President of the United States, that's exactly what I've done, not to mention before.
If that's the case, you chose a running mate, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, who signed those very things into state law. So do you support that?
We are very clear, and I am very clear, as is Tim Walz, that we must support and enforce federal law, and that is exactly what we will do.
So decriminalizing border crossings, like you said in 2019.
I do not believe in decriminalizing border crossings, and I've not done that as Vice President. I will not do that as President.
So these are evolutions that you've had.
But let's be very clear.
So these are evolutions that you've had.
I'm the only person who's running for president who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations, from the Sinaloa cartel to the Guadalajara cartel, to people who have trafficked in guns, drugs, and human beings. I have spent a significant part of my career going after people who present a threat to the safety of the American people and cross our border with the intent of doing us harm and cross our border illegally. And I will do that work as Vice President. I take that work quite seriously.
This is a time when voters, especially here in Pennsylvania, are inundated with commercials and ads. They just want it to stop because it's every commercial. But many of them add noise, but a few of them seem to break through. This particular one from the Trump campaign has gotten a lot of attention.
Oh boy, here we go. Man, they are blasting her, bro. Blasting her.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery. For prisoners. For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system.
Here's the issue. You're not gonna like it. You're not gonna like the answer. I'm just gonna tell you, you're not gonna like the answer. I'm telling you right now. I'm prefacing this statement with, you're not gonna like the answer. If you want to say that it is healthcare, right? I don't see how you get around denying healthcare to inmates. I just don't see how you get around denying healthcare to inmates. I'm very curious, because that's what they've deemed it. That's what they've deemed it. It's not like rhinoplasty or anything like that. No, it's actual. They consider that a legitimate procedure for, sustainability of mental health or whatever.
Would have access.
So are you still in support?
I'm very curious how she answers this. I'm very curious how she answers this.
Of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates or detained illegal aliens to...
I think the best way to say, hey, we use tax, we have to take care of our prisoners just because they've been there. I don't know how you say that. They're still human beings. They're still human beings, and they deserve health care and the rights as everyone else, and blah, blah, blah. That's
transition to another gender.
That's what I would think.
I will follow the law, and it's a law that Donald Trump actually followed. You're probably familiar with, now it's a public report, that under Donald Trump's administration, these surgeries were available on a medical necessity basis to...
What? Ooh, that she pulled that uno reverse card. Uno reverse.
To people in the federal prison system. And I think, frankly, that ad from the Trump campaign is a little bit of like throwing, stones when you're living in a glass house.
The Trump aides say that he never advocated for that prison policy and no gender transition surgery.
Wait, hold on. So just because he didn't advocate for it, did he remove the policy? So he didn't remove the policy?
You got to take responsible for what happened in your administration.
Yeah, no.
Yo, that's wild. What? I had no idea, to be honest with you. I had no idea this happened during the Trump administration. I had no idea. That is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. That is cuckoo for Cocoa Puff. She said you gotta take responsibility of what happened in your administration. Damn, look at that smile. Gotcha, bitch. That is a smile of, yeah, this didn't go the way you thought it was gonna go, huh?
Surgeries happened in this presidency.
It's in
so
black and white.
would you still advocate for using taxpayer dollars for gender reassignment surgeries?
I will follow the law, just as
As Donald Trump did.
Would say he did.
You would have a say as president.
Like I said, I think it's he spent $20 million on those ads, trying to create a sense of fear in the.
$20 million? Why is it connected to the controller? $20 million on that ad? 816, you're on the line.
Lucas, you know who it is. It's Curry, man. I just want to point out something. When Trump has ever been asked a semi-tough question, right? His response is, wow, what a wicked person to ask some type of question like that. What type of question?
What a nasty question.
A nasty person, like, huh? And she over here playing spades on this nigga, bro. She just dropped Big Joker on his dumb ass after they played her opponent's campaign ad, misaligning her.
Damn.
I've never seen this. Got to be racist, bro. This is some different. They ain't even do Obama like that. I mean, this is some nasty work, bro. Like, Jesus Christ, man. Imagine you. Not one question has been like, what is your plan? This has been said about you. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's just an attack.
That's wild. She a better person than me. I would have smacked fire out this nigga's mouth and walked outside. Like, that's.
Lord in heaven.
If her temperament is like this as president, this is showing she's presidential as shit. I think this is backfire. Because they're not. I want to see Trump do an MSNBC interview and see, like, just if fuck what he says. Like, just how long is he gonna stay there? But you know, I just wanted to say that for all the people at home. Also, it's one more thing, right? With this inmate shit and gender realignment surgery, right? Why would I give a fuck? It's not like they're about to raise taxes to do this shit. It's just allocating the tax, right?
Yeah.
Then what is these people are so nosy, man? Like, I don't get, like, I don't have that much care in the world to worry about if the inmate want to be this or that. Like, it is what it is. Like, and people say, well, Curry, what if your child? Well, what if your child? First and foremost, my nigga, I am kid free. Amen. Secondly, what if my child? That doesn't affect them if they're not a fucking inmate, right? I'm gonna raise my child the way I'm trying to.
Very true.
Hopefully they follow suit.
Very true.
Do you have disobedient children, my nigga? Are you a bad parent, my nigga? I listen to my grandparents. I don't know. Maybe I'm slow and stupid, bro. But like the political discourse in this world, like, hey, man, I'm gonna let you get back to the interview, but this. I would have cut this shit off the first question alone, bro. And they got the nerve to play a Trump ad mid my interview? Oh, hell no, I'm tearing this whole setup.
Yeah, that was wild.
Every day getting fucked up. That's disrespectful.
I mean, she came into lines then, so you know what to expect.
I hear you, but, like, mind you, this is after Trump complaining about moderators fact-checking. Like, in a even debate. A forum where you still, at the end of the day, have like at this point, Trump got to do an MSNBC or CNN interview, but I would pay money for that. I'd pay money for that. I want to be in the front row. I got a question to ask him. And this is my issue, right? These Fox News people are the same people who refused to tell him that he lost the election, right? So anytime I'd sit down or had the opportunity to ask Trump a question, hey, did you win the 2020 election? That's my only concern. Because, like, nothing, there has not been more of a, to me, an attack against the quote-unquote principles and patriotic nature of this country, other than saying, fuck the Constitution, rip that shit up, I'm president, nigga. You pissing on 80 million votes. That's essentially what you said. You saying that shit don't matter. Not that I should have won. You said, he admitted he. I could go on for days, man. This shit is unheard of, bro. We might be in the Matrix for real, bro. Like we gotta be, bro. We gotta be.
Well, we'll see. Appreciate the call. We shall see. We shall see. Yeah, chat, we get to 200 likes. I know y'all ain't going to be in here trying to hold me, bro. I don't know why y'all try to do that. Not how that works. 200 likes, we'll open it up for the gray ninjas. Let's continue on.
Voters, because he actually has no plan in this election that is about focusing on the needs of the American people. Whereas, at $20 million on that ad, on an issue
$20 million
that,
on the ad is crazy.
as it relates to the biggest issues that affect the American people, it's really quite remote. And again, his policy was no different. Look at where we are, though.
They say
on plans for the American people, I'm offering a plan to deal with affordable housing. I'm offering a plan to deal with what we need to do to strengthen small businesses, which are the backbone of America's economy. I am offering a plan that is about taking care of young parents and giving them the support they need. My plans for the economy will strengthen the economy, as have been reviewed by 16 Nobel laureates, Goldman Sachs, Moody's, and recently the Wall Street Journal, which have all studied our plans and have indicated my plans for our economy would strengthen our economy, his would make them weaker,
Why do you
would
think more
ignite
people
inflation.
say...
Bro, whatever you want to say, she's cooking, though. Even if you don't believe her. You're like, oh, this is all bullcrap. She is cooking him. She's like, I got policies. This man's got concepts.
And invite a recession by the middle of next year. Those are the facts.
Why do you think more people say they trust him on the economy than they trust you?
I think that when you look at an analysis of our plans for what we would do as President of the United States, it has been clear to those who study and understand how economic policy works that moving forward, because I do believe the American people are ready to turn the page on the divisiveness and the type of rhetoric that has come out of Donald Trump. People are ready to chart a new way forward, and they want a president who has a plan for the future and a plan that is sound and will strengthen our country. My plan for the economy does exactly that. His plan would be, again, to give tax cuts to billionaires and the biggest corporations in our country and blow up our deficit.
It's interesting you said turn the page, Madam Vice President. You were asked on 2 different shows last week what, if anything, you would do differently than President Biden. Here's what you said.
Would you have done something?
Ooh-wee. I like it. It's interesting that you said turn the page. You said there was nothing you would do differently. All right. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. I'm liking the questions.
During the past 4 years.
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be, and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I noticed.
And so,
I mean, that's as easy as a question as it comes. It's difficult, don't get me wrong, but you got to have something.
that would be one change in terms of, but also I think it's important to say with, 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump.
So you're not Joe Biden, you're not Donald Trump, but nothing comes to mind that you would do differently?
Let me be very clear. My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency. And like every new president that comes into office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership. I, for example, am someone who has not spent the majority of my career in Washington, D.C. I invite ideas, whether it be from the Republicans who are supporting me, who were just on stage with me minutes ago, and the business sector, and others who can contribute to the decisions that I make about, for example, my plan for increasing the supply of housing in America and bringing down the cost of housing, addressing the issue of small businesses, which is about working with the private sector to bring more capital and access to capital to our small business leaders, including my plan for a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers and for small businesses, extending the tax deduction from $5,000 to $50,000.
We've heard a lot about those plans in recent days. Your campaign slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years, so what are you turning the page from?
What? I still don't get these questions. That one I don't get. Like, what do you mean turning the page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we have been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country and have Americans literally point fingers at each other. Rhetoric and an approach to leadership that suggests that the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down instead of what we all know. The strength of leadership is based on who you lift up. The strength of an American president, which is one who understands that the vast majority of us have more in common than what separates us.
Madam Vice President, more than 70% of people
that is
tell
about
pollsters,
turning the page on rhetoric that people are frankly exhausted of, Brett.
More than 70% of people tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track.
Now, where did this poll come from? I would love to see who did this poll. What was their methodology? Like, what are we talking about here? I'm so curious, but it's Fox News, so you expect that. I understand. I understand.
Track. That track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president.
We're at 161, y'all. Just 30-something more likes. 161.
And President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that...
I actually don't. What are you talking about? That was funny. I actually don't. What are you talking about? Did she think that Brett was going to give her an alley-oop? Did she think she was going to get an alley-oop from Brett? Is that what she think? You and I both know what we're talking about. I haven't a clue, man. I haven't a clue. Oh.
Over the last decade,
but
people
you're the
have
lever of
become...
power.
But listen...
Wait, she's the VP. I don't understand. The reason why these don't work is because she's the VP. She doesn't have any authority like that. So I don't understand.
The last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me, the former chief of staff to the president, Donald Trump, former defense secretaries, national security advisor, and his vice president. One, that he is unfit to serve, that he is unstable, that he is dangerous, and that people are exhausted with someone who professes to be a leader who spends full-time demeaning and engaging in personal grievances and it being about him instead of the American people. People are tired of that.
If that's the case, why is half the country supporting him? Why is he beating you in a lot of swing states? Why, if he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States? Why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know, but
it's not supposed to be.
I don't like that answer. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of that answer. Not a big fan of the answer, but let's go on.
It is not supposed to be a cakewalk for anyone.
So are they misguided, the 50%? Are they stupid? What is it?
Oh, I bet he would love for her to say that.
say that about the American people. And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch any of his rallies, he's the one who tends to demean and belittle and diminish the American people. He's the one who talks about an enemy within, an enemy within, talking about the American people, suggesting he would turn the American military on the American.
Yeah, he went a little too hard with that question, with that follow up. Are you saying that they're stupid? That went a little too hard with that one, player, which opened him up for a counter.
People.
We asked that question to the former president today. Harris Faulkner had a town hall, and this is how he responded.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. No, but think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
So,
Brett, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within that he has repeated.
The clip had nothing to do with anything. So I don't even know why they played it. He didn't answer what he was talking about. I don't understand. He didn't answer anything.
He's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just showed.
Well, he was asked about that specific...
No, that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to you,
that was the question that we asked him.
You didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times, and you and I both know that. And you and I both know that he has talked about turning the American military on the American people. He has talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the President of the United States, in the United States of America, should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it. And this is what is at stake, which is why you have someone like the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said about Donald Trump being a threat to the United States of America.
That is pretty damning.
He's quoted in the Bob Woodward book that way, yes. Let me ask you this, Madam Vice President. You call Donald Trump...
The significance
you
of that.
call Donald Trump...
well, they definitely are.
He's misguided. You say now
he's
unstable.
He is unstable, Brett.
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable.
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this. You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Whoa. Hot damn.
Joe Biden, I have watched...
Hold on, let me see that. Let me... That's a crazy fucking question. That's a crazy fucking question to ask the VP. Crazy fucking question.
His mental faculties appeared diminished.
Woo.
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room, and he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions on behalf of the American people.
There were no concerns raised?
Brett, Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And Donald Trump
but
is.
you talked about it.
And Donald Trump
After George Clooney said within a few minutes of talking to President Biden at a fundraiser that he thought this was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate stage.
Donald Trump is on the ballot.
I understand. You met with him at least once a week for 3.5 years. You didn't have any concerns?
Wow.
I think the American people have a concern about Donald Trump, which is why the people who know him best, including leaders of our national security community, have all spoken out, even people who worked for him in the Oval Office, worked with him in the Situation Room.
Dirty work, man.
And have said he is unfit and dangerous and should never be president of the United States again, including his former vice president, which is why the job was open for him to choose another running mate. So that is a fact. That is a fact.
Madam Vice President, two more things. You were asked on 60 Minutes about the biggest threat that the world faces, that the U.S. faces. This is what you said.
What did she say?
Which foreign country do you consider to be our greatest adversary?
I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran. Iran has American blood on their hands. Okay, this attack on Israel, 200 ballistic missiles. What we need to do to ensure that Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power, that is one of my highest priorities.
A number of experts thought you would say China. The FBI director had said that. But you said Iran. If that's the case, what do you say to critics who look at the actions of your administration and say you're not acting like Iran is the #1 threat?
Well, I will tell you most recently, whether it was in April or in October, and then several hours on each occasion,
Word to the wise. Get cats, not dogs. Cats, not dogs. 585. You're on the line.
Hey, what's up, man? What's up, bro?
What's up?
Good, I can't complain. Hey, listen, let me turn this TV down real quick. Just want to say I love your what you're doing on YouTube. I'm on Twitter too as well, and I see a lot of these Trump crash dummies on there all the time, bro. Especially a lot of FBA, Tariq, whatever spaces, and it's just, I don't know what it is. You mentioned something in your last video about them being paid, and I honestly believe that they are being paid. To make a long story short, you can present facts to these people about Kamala Harris, and they still refuse to believe it, right? They're like, oh, man, you're great. You're right. You are actually right. I misinterpreted that, or maybe fell into the propaganda. And these cats don't care. They want to see her lose. they want to elect this white supremacist, and it's just to them it's just a big joke. You know, I often go in these spaces and call them Judas, because that's exactly what they are, a bunch of Judases. And you know, so I see brothers like yourself on YouTube. You're doing a great job. I'm not sure if you're in those spaces a lot, but man, I love to chop it up with you if you're in those spaces or whatnot. But they're on there 24 hours a day, seem like, and I feel like we need to have some more blue spaces in there, common sense spaces in there, and you know, run this clock up and hopefully get 100 million people voting for Harris.
There we go.
So that's it.
All right, man.
Hey, one last quick thing, and please forgive me. Have you talked about this new Trump movie, The Apprentice, that just came out in New York City? And there's a lot of hype around that. It actually looks really, really good. It's on YouTube. They had, well, not the movie on YouTube, but the trailers on YouTube. And you know, I really want to try to put that out there, get people talking about it, and kind of get the whole idea of why this man is such a threat to democracy, especially not admitting that he will lose at anything, which, you know, makes no sense. I'm not even sure why he's even allowed to run. But I was just wondering if you had a chance to check it out, and also check out Lev.
No, I haven't checked it out yet.
Okay. Hey, I would suggest you know, just look it up. It's called The Apprentice. They use the same title, I guess, of his show, but it's for The Apprentice movie. And also, if y'all can, check out Lev. He's very active on Twitter. He's was one of Trump right-hand men. Got pictures, videos of everything. I think NBC actually did a with Rachel Maddow. Actually did a whole documentary on that, videos, pictures, and a lot of crazy stuff that was happening behind the scenes at the White House during his administration. So just want to let you maybe just offer that as some content. A lot of people kind of definitely understand what was going on and how bad it was. So
all right, we'll do. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Wait, the Winter Soldier plays on? Wait, that's the Winter Soldier? Because I saw a little clip on Twitter. Yo, no way. That's crazy. That's wild. No, I haven't seen that. That's interesting.
That Iran posed a threat to Israel. I was there. Most recently in the Situation Room, in the most recent attack, working with the heads of our military and doing what America must always do to defend and to support Israel in its requirement to defend itself, and to give American support to be able to allow Israel to have the resources to defend itself against attack, including from Iran and Iran's terrorist proxies in the region.
Right.
And that
but those
is,
proxies were getting funded by
my commitment
Iran.
to that is unyielding and unwavering.
Critics just say that you either relaxed or failed to enforce sanctions on Iran, allowing all of this money to flow into Iran, like billions.
Let's go back to Donald Trump, who pulled out of a deal that would have actually put Iran in check.
The estimates in billions.
It was during Donald Trump's administration
towards
that
the Iran regime,
that we had an American military base that was attacked, where American soldiers suffered traumatic brain injuries, and Donald Trump dismissed them as headaches, not to mention how Donald Trump has treated and talked about America's military and military service people, calling them suckers and losers,
Hamas,
has diminished the significance.
We're talking over each other. I
what is
apologize.
this?
But you're not.
What is this, bro? What is this? Nobody can hear what any of y'all saying. This is nonsense.
I would like that we would have a conversation that is grounded in full assessment of the facts, which includes, I think this interview is supposed to be about the choices that your viewers should be presented about this election, and the contrast is important.
Yes, ma'am.
And on the subject of Iran, I am offering what should be an important contrast that is presented for folks to make a
And there
decision
are
that
critics
they feel.
who look at what the administration did and say and think differently. Madam Vice President, they're wrapping me very hard here. I hope you got to say what you wanted to say about Donald Trump. There are a lot of things
There's more to say. I have much more
there
to
are
say,
a lot of
actually.
things that people want to learn about you and your policies, and
Yes.
that's why we
I
invited
invite
you
everyone
here.
to go to kamalaharris.com, and you will see that I have 80 pages of policies that are quite comprehensive and should be accessible to anyone who would like to read them. And it includes what I intend to do about affordable housing, what I intend to do about small businesses, what I do
And that's why
intend
we
to do to
invited you
strengthen our
here,
economy,
to see where you were in 2019 and where you are now.
America's military and ensure
Is that why you brought her there? That's weird.
we
Didn't
have the
feel like
most
it.
lethal and best fighting force in the world.
Madam Vice President,
And
they're giving me a hard rap
well,
here.
I thank you for the time.
I thank you for the time.
It's good to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey.
Woo! Ichiwawa, bruh. Ichiwawa. Not really upset with it. That was something else, bruh. Definitely something else. Yeah, she definitely held her own. I'll give her that. I'll give her that one. Because goodness gracious, bro. That was interesting, to say the least. Interesting. All right, well, I mean, I'm trying to think. There wasn't really much to say about this. It was kind of a nothing burger. Nothing burger of an interview. Did anyone gain anything? Like, did you think that, like, I'm trying to think. I'm like, I didn't really, there wasn't anything I was like, oh, man, she's blowing it. Or like, oh, that was a horrible. I mean, there was one question I was like, she could have answered that better. But it was nothing like horrible. It just seemed like they wanted to get a gotcha. They wanted blood. That's what it seemed like they wanted. They wanted blood. And I don't think they got it. I don't think they got it. But, you know. I didn't really, yeah, it wasn't really anything special to me. Kamala Harris. Wasn't anything special to me. I gained that she was actually bold enough to go to an opposing side for an interview. I'd love to see Trump interviewed by MSNBC and Friends. Yeah. I would love to see that too. But he would, I mean, Trump would even do 60 Minutes. She went to Fox News. Like, you gotta give her some credit, bro. She went to Fox News, bro. That's wild. That's really wild when you think about it. Really wild. Lord in heaven. A town hall is very different from someone asking you pointed questions. As we can see with 60 Minutes, and as we can see with Brett right here. So that's great doing a town hall. Not the same thing as one person grilling you. Not the same thing. And none of them have been like really gotcha stuff from what I've seen. I haven't seen anyone trying to like get a gotcha out of Trump. As aggressive as he was going in on Kamala. But hey, stress test them. It's great to see stress test them. Absolutely.
People in audio town hall with Vice President Kamala and
President Kamala Harris, how are you?
Very well, Charlemagne. How you doing?
Listen, we got 20 days and 60 minutes, so we just need to get to it.
I'm with you. Although it's 21 days.
How are you? Because you did just walk in. You was kind of late, so.
Well, I try to be on time. Apparently, I'm 40 seconds late. You're right.
Well, you are black. So, okay. Now, now, you know, one thing they've been saying, a lot of your press hits get criticized. You know, folks say you come off as very scripted. They say you like to stick to your talking points, and some media says you have.
That would be called disciplined.
Oh, okay. Speak to that.
But go on.
No, I was going to say some people say you have an inability to fearlessly say who you are and what you believe. I know that's not true. But what do you say to that criticism? And is it fair for SNL to make fun of it?
Hasn't Maya Rudolph been wonderful?
Yes.
I think I have nothing but admiration for the comedy, and I think it's important to be able to laugh at yourself and each other.
But what do you say to people who say
in the spirit of obviously comedy and not belittling people as my opponent would do?
You won't get a flag, Luke? Why would I get a flag? I mean, we can go to the audio. We have the audio, so I mean, I just wanted to see her facial reaction. But we can go back to the audio. I don't remember. I don't think the Breakfast Club does that. Have they done it before? I don't think they've done it before. Have they paused the stream before? I can't remember if Breakfast Club has paused the stream on like a video. Yeah, they have. Let's go to the radio just to be safe.
Scrambling for the resources and needed tests. And Donald Trump, during that time, secretly sent COVID tests to the president of Russia, who, by the way, do not forget, in the 2016 election, because I was a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee.
We were 5 minutes in.
When we investigated it. Targeted black voters in 2016 with mis and disinformation to discourage black people from voting in that election. And this is just another of the very many examples of who Donald Trump really is and the danger he presents to real people.
Sending COVID tests to Russia, that doesn't sound very America first at all. But it's not just you versus Trump, it's you versus misinformation.
Yes, that's true.
Right? And one of the biggest pieces of misinformation, one of the biggest allegations against you is that you targeted and locked up thousands of black men in San Francisco for weed. Some say you did it to boost your career. Some say you did it out of pure hate for black men. Please tell us the facts. What's the facts of that situation?
It's just simply not true. And what public defenders who are around those days will tell you, I was the most progressive prosecutor in California on marijuana cases and would not send people to jail for simple possession of weed. And as vice president, have been a champion for bringing marijuana down on the schedule. So instead of it being ranked up there with heroin, we bring it down. And my pledge is, as president, I will work on decriminalizing it because I know exactly how those laws have been used to disproportionately impact certain populations and specifically black men.
Mm-hmm. Before we get into, the talkback feature and take some questions from the audience, I do want to talk to you about the legalization of weed because you're saying you want to legalize it now. What steps did the Biden administration take to get closer to that reality?
Damn.
So we had to.
Now, this is an interview, right? It's not hostile. He's like, okay, how did this happen? What are you doing? People are saying this. How do you respond? This is an interview. We covered the weed. We cover what you do as far as legalize weed when you were in the administration. Okay, what did the Biden administration do to try and legalize weed? Right? Because you now talking about you're going to legalize weed when you get in office. Well, why didn't Biden do it? That's a fair question. Fair freaking question. Now, I don't know if Biden promised to do that, but I think this is solid.
Work with the DEA, and there's a certain level of bureaucracy that exists in the federal government that slows things down, but essentially to bring down how weed is classified, how marijuana is classified, to make it classified as a lesser harm. Mm-hmm. And so that took some time. There's a whole process around that, but that's the work that we have done, in addition to work that we have done writ large on criminal justice reform.
Okay. Let's take some calls. Let's take some, not calls. Let's go to the talkback feature.
My question for Kamala is, why are we, and I say we because my tax dollars is sending the money. Why are we sending money to other countries when we desperately need it in our own country for homeless, housing, resources, for whatever? That is my determining factor if I vote for Kamala or not.
That's one of the reasons the America First rhetoric resonates, because nobody in America would complain about where money was going if American citizens' everyday needs were being met. So what do you say to that?
We can do it all, and we do. So, first of all, I maintain very strongly America should never pull ourselves away from our responsibility as a world leader. And that is in the best interest of our national security and each one of us as Americans and our standing in the world.
What happened?
World. To American citizens, obviously, and people who are here to meet their everyday needs and challenges, which is why, for example, we have done the work in the last 4 years of bringing down the cost of prescription medication, whether it be $35 a month for seniors for insulin or $2,000 a year cap on prescription medication. What we have done that has been about putting $17 billion in our HBCUs. I am proud to be the first HBCU vice president of the United States. I intend to be the first HBCU president of the United States. Those resources are about sending them to centers of academic excellence that I know them to be. The work that I continue to do is about increasing access to capital for our small businesses. It is about increasing the opportunity for home ownership, knowing that black people are 40% less likely to be homeowners in America. We have a history of legal and procedural obstacles to that home ownership, starting with the fact nobody got 40 acres and a mule, to redlining, to issues that this Detroit area and people around the country know to be real. So part of my plan is that we're going to give people a $25,000 down payment assistance to get their foot in the door to buy a home for first-time home buyers. The work that I'm going to do to increase housing supply in America, knowing that that's one of the reasons that rents and housing prices are jacked up, and to work with the private sector, cut through the red tape, and work to build more housing, 3 million before the end of my first term. And I give these examples, and there are many more which I will offer. So, for example, the work that I will do to extend the child tax credit to $6,000 for young families during the first year of their child's life. Because as you and I both know, our families all have a natural desire to parent their children well, but not always the resources. So by expanding the child tax credit to the first year of a child's life to $6,000, that gives that young family the ability to buy a car seat or a crib or clothes, the things that are so important during that critical phase of that child's development, so that they can get on the road and actually have a chance at succeeding.
You know, you said we can do it all, but can we? Because, you know, Tupac famously said, you know, we got money for war, but can't feed the poor, right? And I saw President Obama say last week that, you know, you really shouldn't expect, you know, a president to rid the world of all of its problems. And so is it fair to tell people, hey, we can do it all? Because that's when people get disappointed, when things don't happen.
Trump Univision
But
is live,
I think
Lucas?
President Obama...
What do you mean Trump Univision is live? Did it come out? Today. I don't see it. Yo no sé. I don't know where it is. Unless y'all see something.
Obama is absolutely correct, but it doesn't mean we can't do anything.
It started? Oh, it's live? Trump. It's live on Twitter or live on YouTube? Where is it? Oh, shit.
About prices, about rent, about everything. Interest rates went from 2% to 10%, and you can't get the money. You want to buy a house. You can't buy a house anymore. You can't do anything. But the biggest thing I hear about is just what you said, groceries, the food. So we didn't have inflation. We had a great situation for everything, for virtually everything. When they came in, they spent, and they also blew my energy policies up. So we had inexpensive energy. Now you have the most expensive thing on the list is energy. That is such a big category that it leads to
Election night
everything.
coverage?
Everything else follows. Everything follows energy. We have more liquid gold under our feet than anybody else. There's no other country that has liquid gold like we do. That's oil and gas. We're going to bring your energy costs down, and with your energy costs, everything is going to come down. We're going to also make jobs available so you can afford, literally much easier. We're going to have many more jobs than we have right now. We set a record. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. Now we have a lousy economy, primarily because of inflation. So we're going to get rid of the inflation. We're going to drill, baby, drill. I'm going to get your energy costs down by 50%, 50% over the course of 12 months, which will be easy to do because we have more energy than Saudi Arabia. We have more energy than Russia, anybody. We were energy
50%
independent
in 12 months? How?
just 4 years ago, and now look at us. So energy is going to bring it down, and the spending is going to bring it down.
This
We're
man
going to
just
cut
be
a lot
saying
of
shit.
waste and abuse that won't affect anybody other than our bottom line as a country. And you're going to be in great shape. You just hang in there. We're going to bring those costs way
This
down.
man would just be saying shit, really.
Thank you.
Thank you, President Trump. Thank you, Diana. Muchas gracias.
Just
President
be
Trump, as you
saying
know,
anything.
farming is one of the most demanding jobs, and farmers like Jorge Velázquez over here work hard to put food on the table of American families. He has a question for you. Jorge Velázquez es agricultor y tiene una pregunta
Good
para
hair, yeah, by the way. Nice
Presidente,
hair.
expresidente.
Look at that.
Nice hair. Oh, my God, bro.
Buenas noches, señor presidente Trump.
This man is wild.
He trabajado toda mi vida con estas manos,
So,
agachado
work
por horas,
or manos? What's
piscando
manos?
fresa, cortando brócoli.
Good evening, President Trump. For many years, I have worked with these hands,
Manos is ears?
hunched
Manos
over,
is hands. What am I
picking
thinking? Manos is
strawberries and cutting broccoli.
Okay.
Este
Picking
duro
strawberries
trabajo es
and cutting broccoli.
realizado en su mayoría por gente indocumentada.
This tough job is mainly done by undocumented people.
Oh, boy.
Si usted deporta a esta gente, ¿quién haría ese trabajo y qué precio pagaríamos por la comida?
If you deport to
Comida.
these people,
What's comida?
who would do that job, and what price would we pay for food?
Comida is food, right?
Please.
Oh, boy.
Finished, yes.
Finish this?
So the problem we have is we had people coming in under my administration, and they were coming in legally. They were coming in through a system that we had, which was great, because I'm the best thing that ever happened to farmers. You know that. I was great. You know, farmers are doing very badly right now, very, very badly under this administration. Under my administration, farmers did very well. We have to have a lot of people come into our country. We just want them to come in legally through a system because they've released hundreds of thousands of people that are murderers, drug dealers, terrorists. They're coming in totally, nobody knows who they are, where they come from. And the people that are most against it are the Hispanic people. They are totally against it, what's happened.
What?
The other thing I can say is that a lot of the jobs that you have and that other people have are being taken by these people that are coming in. And the African-American population and the Hispanic population in particular are losing jobs now because millions of people are coming in. So they're coming in, but they're also coming in.
He's the one that's coming
largely,
in.
and tremendous numbers coming in out of mental institutions. They're emptying out.
He's the one that's coming in.
institutions.
He's the
They're
one.
emptying out.
Bro,
Insane
what is this?
asylums.
What
That's
is this
a step
answer?
above a mental institution.
He said, who's
Worse,
going to do the
bigger-
job if you
bigger
deport
problems,
us?
Bigger problem people.
This
They're
man is on
emptying out
NPC
jails.
time.
The jails are being let into our country from Venezuela, but not just South America. From all over the world, they're being let in. From jails, from
Bro,
nobody's
the
ever
one-
seen anything like it. The jail population.
He's
throughout
the one that's
world
coming in.
has come way down.
He just said,
and it's
I
all
do
coming into the United
work
States
with my
of
hands.
America. So we want workers, and we want them to come in, but they have to come in legally. They have to love our country. They have to love you, love our people. The problem with this administration is they've totally lost control. It's the worst president and the worst vice president that we've ever had in this country.
Oh my
What
God,
they
this
have
is
done to
wild.
our country in terms of hurting it. Our farmers, by the way, are dying.
This
They
is
haven't had anything
wild.
so bad in 25 years. 4 years ago, our farmers, including you, were making a lot of money. They were doing great. Now they're absolutely dying. We're going to turn it around. But we want people to come in, but we don't want murderers. So It was just announced that last month by the Border Patrol that under Biden and Harris, they allowed 13,099 convicted murderers, people in jail, to come into our country. They released them from jail into our population. And nobody wants that. And that doesn't include the terrorists and all of the others, the gang members, MS-13 gang members, and other gang members. We have to have people that are great people come into our country. But we do want them in, and I want them in even more than you do. And we're going to make it so that people can come into our country legally. Thank you. Good question.
My G, I was wrong. Trump keeping that same energy in person.
President Trump, our next question.
He didn't even answer the question.
Daniel is the first member of his family to have a college degree. Now he's worried about finding the right job.
He didn't answer the question.
To his area of study. Daniel Pérez, el primero en graduarse de la universidad en su familia.
This is wild.
Platícanos de tu pregunta, Daniel.
He didn't answer the
Good
question
evening,
like
Mr. President.
at all, bro. Like at
As
all.
a first-generation college graduate, I had to work multiple jobs while studying full-time. The reason that being is because my family could not provide financial assistance while I was attending college. The high cost of housing led me to sleep in my car while I was attending college in a rural area.
Damn.
Despite my degree, I'm currently working as a delivery driver.
Okay.
My question to you is, how do you plan to create real job opportunities for recent graduates like myself?
It's a great question, and a lot of people ask that question because the job opportunities, the good ones, are not there under this administration. We are going to bring companies in through a system of taxes, positive, we call it positive taxation. We are going to bring companies in at a level that you've never seen in this country before. I was doing it in my administration, and then what we did, and nobody's ever seen what we're doing. A combination of taxes, tariffs, and incentives. Companies are going to be coming into our country, car companies, and many.
He's just desperate for black
for the
and Latino votes.
Cars.
He's trying to show that he understands and cares.
Like never before. You
Such
need
a
jobs,
politician.
and that's what you have to do.
He's not
Again,
really showing
you also
that,
have to
though.
get
That's the
prices
problem.
down. When prices come down, companies will be able to afford to open up again. A lot of companies over the last 3 years, 3.5 years, have closed up. Companies that would have hired you are not even here anymore. We have had a terrible president and vice president in terms of keeping small businesses going. We want small businesses, which are very, very important. It's actually, they employ more, they are bigger than big businesses as a whole, and we want them taken care of. But we're going to bring companies back into our country. We've lost so many companies back into our country at a level that we haven't seen before, and you're going to get a lot of jobs. You're not going to be looking at one job. You're going to be looking at a job that you want, because you don't want to just take a job. You want to take a job that's a job. I want to be with that company for 25 years or longer, and that's what's going to happen. You're going to have your choice. Right now, you're going around. You could just get a job even if you don't want it. You need it. You're going to have your choice very soon. If I'm elected president, you're going to have a choice between lots of different companies, and you'll match it out with pay and with really very important, just as important as pay is you have to love what you're doing. If you don't love what you're doing, having a job is brutal. So congratulations on your degree. That's a big achievement. That really is a great thing. It's great that you did it. You will put that to use very soon when I'm elected president. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel, and congratulations on that degree. Our next question comes from Natalie Martinez.
Did he
She's
give
21
an
years
answer?
old. She lives here in South Florida with
I
her
feel
family.
like I get
Natalie
lost
Martinez, 21
when he
años.
says.
Vive aquí en el sur de la Florida con su familia. Adelante, Natalie.
Hola, expresidente Trump. Soy una estudiante universitaria.
Okay.
Hello, President Trump. I am in university. Participé en una competencia sobre la deuda nacional y por eso me preocupa mucho.
I participated recently on a competition on the national debt, and that has gotten me very worried.
Okay.
La deuda nacional ya está en $35 trillion y no para.
The national debt right now is $35 trillion, and it does not stop there.
Mi pregunta para ustedes, ¿qué haría su administración para reducirla, junto con el interés que pagamos para la deuda?
Did they get me? Oh my God, bruh. Bruh. Bastardos. What's wrong with these people, bro? Okay, let's just wait. Wait. For you and me. For you and me. We must wait. We must wait. We must wait for you and for me. We must wait. We must wait for you and for me. All right, we're back. Goodness gracious, bro. Can't even stream a freaking... Let's go here. Let's go to right here and just push play. Lord in heaven, bro. They are just... Let's play. And we're just going to go over here.
My question for you tonight is, what will you do to improve it, to reduce the debt, and also to pay alongside its interests?
Reduce the debt and pay alongside its interest. All right, let's hear it. Reduce the debt.
So we do. We have record national debt. We've never had anything like it before. We were getting ready to start paying down debt, and then we got hit with a thing called COVID, or the China virus, and that had to be the focus. And we needed to help businesses stay in business. And if we didn't do the job we did, Linda McMahon did a great job, Small Business Association. If we didn't do the job that we did, you wouldn't have any companies, right? You would have been in a depression like in 1929.
Fair.
And we did a great job in keeping it all going. We ended up where the stocks were higher, despite all of the COVID, China virus that came into our country. The stocks, when I handed over, the stocks were higher than they were previous to the COVID coming in. So we had to focus on that, obviously. But we had the best economy that we've ever had. We're going to have that again. What's going to solve the problem is growth.
Yes.
It's a thing called growth that nobody even talks about from the Democrat standpoint, because
so how
they
are you
don't know
going to
about
create growth?
But we're going to bring companies in. We're going to bring tremendous business to our country. And that's going to solve that. Also,
we're going to bring tremendous
waste,
business
fraud,
to
and abuse
to our country.
And we have Elon Musk, who's a fantastic guy and a fantastic genius. He's a genius at a lot of things, but he's a great business person also, in addition to sending rockets. You saw his rocket come down the other day and land. The way it landed was so incredible. Nobody had ever seen anything like that. But Elon called me and spent a lot of time. He endorsed me, totally endorsed. He said, if Trump doesn't win, our country may be finished. That's a pretty strong endorsement from a truly brilliant guy.
What does any of this have to do
But
with anything?
we're putting him in charge. He wants to do this so badly of cost cutting, bringing costs down, so that it won't affect the people, but the waste and abuse in this country, the fraud
So how
in
do
this
we do
country
this?
is massive. And he and his team are going to work on that. We're going to get it down. We're going to start paying off debt.
His
But the
team?
key is growth. We have to grow the country. Keep the debt the same and then bring it down and grow the country.
This
And
is
we'll be
crazy.
stronger than ever. You elect me president, we're going to be stronger than ever. That's what I do.
He didn't
Thank you
say
very much.
anything.
Thank you, President Trump.
Thank you, Natalie.
This
President
is
Trump. We're going to take a quick break.
crazy.
We'll be right back with more questions from undecided
The
Latino
man
voters.
didn't say
Una breve
not
pausa,
a
ya
damn
regresamos con más de este
thing.
encuentro. Los latinos preguntan, Donald Trump responde.
Are we serious right now? Am I missing something? I know. He said we're just going to bring in businesses. How, sir? How? He doesn't say how. What do you mean you're going to bring in businesses and Elon's going to fix it? 816, you're on the line.
It's Curry. I'm a man of principle, right? And when Kamala was doing the Latino town hall, right? I said, I bet you Trump is not going to get up there and call these people murderers and rapists and criminals. I was wrong, my guy. Honestly, I at least have a shred of respect for him resorting back to the talking points he's been on. Now, granted, has he answered a question? No. But do I think this is going to hurt him in the long run? No. I think people are going to value the fact that he had the gall to sit down with these people in the first place. And I think they're going to value that way more than Kamala doing it. Mainly because Kamala ain't been calling their people murderers and rapists and criminals and shit. But that's my breakdown of it.
All right, if you
Viva
say
la
so.
Mexico.
Viva la Mexico. It's Mexico. Viva la Mexico. Viva la raza. Okay? Viva la raza. Compadres. Esta es mal, bruh. Mucho mal. Trump really is his own worst enemy. That's what I said. I was like, oh, hold on. We're back.
Donald Trump, and we're
Donald,
back. President Trump. Our next question comes from Guadalupe.
Guadalupe
Ramirez. She's a mother of three.
Mother of three, okay.
Her parents were born in Mexico and benefited from the Bracero program in the 1980s and became citizens. Adelante con tu pregunta, Guadalupe, madre de tres. Tus padres se beneficiaron del programa Bracero.
Sí, un poquito antes de los 80s, un par de
what?
décadas antes.
Before the 80s then.
Buenas noches, señor expresidente. Yo vivo en los suburbios de Chicago y a diario yo veo las consecuencias del flujo migratorio que ha ocurrido en estos últimos años.
Good evening, Mr. President. I live in the suburbs of Chicago. Daily, I see the consequences of the migration flow.
¿Cuál es su plan para una reforma migratoria?
What is your plan for an immigration reform?
Y quisiera preguntarle, ¿por qué usó su influencia sobre los legisladores republicanos para que no respaldaran la propuesta que hubiese brindado refuerzos a la frontera?
I also would like to ask you why you used your influence to ask the Republican legislators to not back up the strengthening of our border through the proposal.
Yeah, of the bill.
You like strong borders, so do I.
You like,
and we have them. We had the strongest border we've ever had in the recorded history of our country.
What does that have to do with the bill?
We had 4 years ago. We had a border that was great, and again, people were coming in, but they were coming in through a legal process. They were great people.
What about the bill?
Country. And when you say Chicago, immediately we have to think about the crime because it's so dangerous in Chicago, and some of these people came from other countries. Many of them came from other countries.
Oh, man.
So what we're going to do is we have to be much tougher on crime. The Democrats are weak. Don't forget, the Democrats run Chicago. They have a mayor from Chicago. He's terrible. They have a governor who's horrible, Pritzker. He's a horrible governor. That's the state of Illinois.
Okay.
He's horrible. And they're very weak on crime.
Okay.
You want to make sure that you're not attacked, you're not mugged, you're not shot. Chicago's a very dangerous city right now.
So why did you
it's
support
a great
the
city
bill?
Potentially, but right now it's a very dangerous city.
So why
and
did you
we're
support
working
the
on
bill?
that, but we have Democrats running it. Everything the Democrats run is bad. 25 cities, they're all run by Democrats, and they're crime-ridden and crime-infested cities. The Republicans running, they don't have the same problem because we have law and order. We have it the way you need it. You need to be safe. You want to walk across the street for a loaf of bread. You want to be able to walk and not get shot or not get mugged or anything else. So we're going to bring that back. I'm bringing a lot back to help the Democrat mayors, where they have them, run their cities better because they can't run their cities. They're crime-infested, and Chicago's an example of it.
Liar.
And we're going to make it good. As far as the border, we want to have a strong border, and we want people to come in. And that's what we had. Remember, we had the strongest border in history, and we had the best economy in history. Two things I had. And I said, that's pretty good. We also got into no wars. I didn't get into any wars. I'm the first president in 84 years that never got into a war, but I beat ISIS. And we beat them in 2 months instead of, I guess they told me it was going to take years, like 5 years. I did it in 2 months. Our military is incredible. I rebuilt the military. But remember these two things. I had the strongest border in the history of our country and had the best economy in the history of our country. And I had no inflation. No inflation. Thank you.
What do you mean?
Gracias,
you didn't answer the question. And what are you talking about? You had no
comes
inflation.
From Arizona, key state in the upcoming election. José Saralegui lives right on the border with Mexico. José Saralegui, de la frontera de Sonora y Arizona.
Magical.
Una pregunta para el presidente Trump. Adelante.
Something magical we're witnessing.
Soy un republicano, registrado republicano, pero en este momento me encuentro indeciso.
Good evening, President Trump. A Republican. I am a registered Republican, but at this time I am undecided.
Durante la campaña se han utilizado muchas teorías de conspiración.
During the campaign, there has been some conspiracy theories in use.
Le doy un ejemplo, si me permite.
If you allow me, I would like to give an example of it.
An example.
Las autoridades de Springfield, Ohio, han aclarado una y otra vez que los haitianos no se están comiendo los perros ni los gatos de sus gentes.
Los perros,
the authorities in
they're eating the
Springfield,
dogs.
Ohio have more than one time clarified that the Haitians are not eating their cats and their dogs.
Sin embargo, usted les quiere revocar su permiso que tienen para residir legalmente en este país.
Nonetheless, you want to revoke the permit they have to legally reside in this country.
Mi pregunta, con todo respeto, es si usted verdaderamente cree que estas personas se comen las mascotas de la gente.
My question to you very respectfully is, do you really believe that these people are eating the people's pets?
Bruh.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And this was just reported. I was just saying what was reported. That's been reported.
It was not reported.
And eating other things too that they're not supposed to be. But this is all I do is report. I have not. I was there. I'm going to be there, and we're going to take a look. And I'll give you a full report when I do. But that's been in the newspapers and reported pretty broadly. I will say this as far as Springfield is concerned, because I do know that situation.
Come on,
you have a city of 52,000 people. And they've added almost 30,000 migrants into the city. If you were a person that lived there, if you lived in Springfield, Ohio, and all of a sudden you couldn't get into a hospital, you couldn't get your children into a school, you wouldn't be able to buy groceries, you could no longer pay the rent because the government's paying rent. Any of that, if any of that happened, it would be a disaster for you, and you wouldn't be happy. We want to make our people safe and secure, and we want to make them happy. But Springfield, Ohio is a perfect example. You have a town, a beautiful little town with no problems. All of a sudden, they have 30 or 32,000 people dropped into the town, most of whom don't speak the language, most of whom don't speak the language at all. And what they're doing is they're looking all over for interpreters. Well, I mean, I think you can't just destroy our country.
Does he know his audience?
Maybe some people disagree with me, but you can't put in a very short period of time 32,000 people into a 50,000 people town and expect things to go well. It's a disaster. It's a total disaster. And the people that live there are, they want to leave, they want to move, because if you read about it or talk to them, people want to move, they want to leave, because they've never had anything like this. And we can't let that happen to our towns and our cities and our country. Just can't let it happen. It's not sustainable. I appreciate the question. Thank you. I hope you vote for a Republican.
Gracias, José. Thank you, President Trump. Let's take a quick break again, and we'll be right back. Hacemos una breve pausa y regresamos en este encuentro histórico entre votantes latinos y el expresidente Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. This is something else, man. This is truly something else. I'm not going to lie. I am just amazed. Amazed. Absolutely amazed. Absolutely amazed, man. This is... Whew. Okay. All right. Fair enough. This is I'm speechless, bro. Genuinely speechless. Man, talking. 718, you're on the line.
Remember what I texted you earlier?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want to win. He doesn't want to win. I don't think this motherfucker wants to win.
You don't think so?
I'm like, I don't think he wants to. I think he at the beginning he wanted to, but he knows he has to actually do work to clean up all the bullshit he made. And now he just proved the point. The fact is, you did kill the goddamn bill. You did kill the immigration bill. Because you didn't answer the goddamn question. Which lets us know, so you did put your 2 cents into it and kill that fucking bill. And you trying to say farmers, did great. No, they didn't. Biden had to make a bill for the farmers, for the black farmers to get reparations. I think something like that, but I forgot. But it was on the Biden. So I'm like, bro, what are you lying about? Black farmers were struggling with your ass. And you dodging fucking questions. I'm watching the daggone Fox interview with Kamala Harris, and I'm like, you picking and choosing, bro. And when he brought up those three white girls, the white girls got killed by these immigrants. Oh, really? So then where was Trump's sympathy for Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, all them other people? Did you send flowers and all that stuff? Oh, but you're going to give them, oh, God, what's the name of it?
Immunity?
Immunity. Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. I'm like, really, bro? You really asking me these questions right now? Bro, I thank God, because I'm starting to see, I think the Spanish people are going to see this interview, they're going to be like, yeah, we ain't voted for you.
You don't think he's getting votes from this interview?
Yeah, I think this might be more damaging than it was good. Kamala did better on this one. Way better. I'm shocked. I'm like, bro, do you realize what you need these votes? Do you realize that? You need these votes. And you just said something, they don't speak the language. Are you out your fucking mind, bro? No one didn't speak the language. They don't speak Spanish, you dumbass idiot. I'm like, oh my God, you really don't want to win this shit. Oh my fucking God. Oh, all right, go back. The private commercial's over. No, I'm sorry.
All good. Remember what I text you? Yeah. Yeah. Him not wanting to win. Cause this is crazy, bro. Like he's not even answering questions. He completely skipped that border bill. Like I'm curious if like the Hispanic people are gonna like, nah, no bueno. I genuinely wonder if that's what they're gonna do. Like, nah, no bueno. Esta no bueno. No bueno. Estamos coquinados. I don't know, coquinados. Is that cocaine? Estamos. All right, let's go back. All right, here we go.
Gracias por seguir en esta conversación con el expresidente Trump
with former President Trump and our audience. And as you know, the topics we have touched upon, employment, health, immigration. Ramiro Gonzalez has a question for
Tampa. Now we know.
Florida got hit with 2 major hurricanes in the last 2 weeks. Por favor, Ramiro.
Buenas noches, señor Trump.
Buenas noches.
Good evening, Mr. Trump. Okay. I am a Republican, no longer registered, though.
Okay.
I want to give you the opportunity to try to win back my vote. Okay.
This isn't going to go well.
I'd say action.
This
and
isn't gonna go.
maybe
I want to see what this person
inaction
looks like.
during
Oh,
your
wow.
presidency and the last few years.
Yeah, this isn't gonna go well.
Sort of, was a little disturbing to me. What happened during January 6th, and the fact that you waited so long to take action while your supporters were attacking the Capitol. Coronavirus, I thought the public was misled during coronavirus.
Oh my God,
and that many more lives could have been saved if we would have been informed better. And also people in your administration who don't support you. I'm curious how people so close to you and your administration no longer want to support you. So why would I want to support you?
Damn!
If you would answer these questions for me, I would really appreciate it and give you the opportunity. There's, your own vice president doesn't want to support you now.
Thank you.
Woo!
So the people that don't support a very small portion, we have a tremendous, about 97% of the people in the administration support me. But because it's me, somebody doesn't support, they get a little publicity. The vice president, I disagree with him on what he did. I totally disagreed with him on what he did. Very importantly, you had hundreds of thousands of people come to Washington. They didn't come because of me. They came because of the election. They thought the election was a rigged election, and that's why
You
they
didn't
came.
have a-
Some of those people
Wow,
went down
they
to the
didn't come.
Capitol. I said peacefully and patriotically, nothing done wrong at all, nothing done wrong. And action was taken, strong action. Ashley Babbitt was killed. Nobody was killed. There were no guns down there. We didn't have guns. The others had guns, but we didn't have guns. And when I say we, these are people that walked down. This was a tiny percentage of the overall, which nobody sees and nobody shows. But that was a day of love from the standpoint of the millions, hundreds of thousands. It could have been the largest group I've ever spoken before. They asked me to speak.
A day
I went
of love?
and I spoke, and I used the
They
term
asked you to speak? I
peacefully
thought they
and
didn't come for
patriotically.
you.
You look at the Democrats, what they say. You look at Maxine Waters, and you look at Hillary Clinton, and you look at what they say.
They didn't come
and
for
they
me,
don't put
but
that
they asked
on.
me
They
to
only
speak.
put Republicans on. But they couldn't get me because of the
This
fact
man
that
is cooked.
I said everything's got to be peaceful and patriotic. And we'll see how it all works out. But I think
This man's the habitual liar.
we're right now in another election. All I want is honest elections. I'm willing to take any chance. I want honest elections. We need borders and we need honest elections. And if we don't have either of those
This is
two things,
insane.
that's it. We have tremendous loyalty to the Trump administration. Biden, when he lost
This
in
is
Afghanistan,
insane,
when he
bruh.
looked so bad, that's why Putin went into Ukraine, in my opinion. He looked and he saw he should have fired every general involved in that. There was a disaster. He should have fired a lot of people because he had the most unsuccessful administration in the history of our country. A disaster, acknowledged. I, again, had the best economy we've ever had. I rebuilt our military. I defeated ISIS. I did things that nobody thought. In terms of medical right to try, I got right to try where you could use space age, things that wouldn't be approved for another 5 or 10 years. You were able to use it, and we saved thousands and thousands of lives. But 97% of the people in my administration supported me. When you fire somebody, they say bad things. When I fire a John Bolton or when I fire any of these people, he was terrible. But when I fire people,
90%
they go out and say, if I
supported
didn't
him?
fire people,
Where are
they
these
wouldn't
90
say it.
people?
But you know what? Biden should have fired a lot of people because he had a very unsuccessful administration. And the
Who are
first
these
thing
90 people?
person he should have fired is his vice president because she's absolutely terrible. And I will tell you, she's no way fit, in any way fit, to be the president of the United States. In fact, she turned on him, and they had a coup. They took it over from a president that got 14 million votes. I'm no fan of his, but he got 14 million votes. He won the primary. She was out of the primary. She was the first one to quit, and she left 22 people. She was the first one out. She never made it to Iowa. And then she comes back, and they do a coup. They take it over from him. So that's the way it is. When people don't do their job, I fire them. And if they say bad things about me, that's okay. But overall, look, we're leading in the polls now. We have an election going on right now. I'm doing really well with Hispanics, and we're doing well pretty much with every group. When people don't do a job, I'm sorry, I get rid of them. And if they want to say bad things, I've never fired somebody that said wonderful things. Sometimes they think about it. But when you let somebody go, even for cause,
I've never fired someone who said wonderful
they don't generally
things.
say great things. But Biden, never think of it. into the worst administration in the history of our country, he never fired one person, and that's disgraceful. And you look at the border has been a disaster. All they had to do is leave my border. I had the safest, most secure border, and people came in legally. I had the safest border in the history of our country. All he had to do is leave our people and leave our policies. I had a remain in Mexico policy, worked out with the Mexican government. The head of Mexico, all of them, they were my friends. They were good. They were great people. It wasn't easy to work it out, but I worked it out. Remain in Mexico. It was an unbelievable success. Remain in Mexico. We check you out, and then we bring you into the country if you check out. Biden didn't do that. He got rid of everything. He had an open border policy where the whole world flowed in. Unfortunately, the world were prison populations. If I were running a country, any country, and I heard that the U.S. had an open border policy, the first thing I do is open up my jails, take all of my prisoners, and let them out, murderers and everyone else. And that's essentially what they did, and it's a shame. So we had the most successful country we've ever had, and I hope someday maybe we'll get your vote. Sounds like maybe I won't, but that's okay too. Thank you very much.
Gracias, Ramiro. Thank you so much. Jesus Gonzalez. He's the son of immigrants, the first U.S.-born member of his family as well.
The first U.S.-born?
Nacer aquí en Estados Unidos, hijo de inmigrantes. Adelante con tu pregunta, Jesús.
Good evening, President Trump.
Thank you.
This is awesome.
With respect, could you explain your gun control policy to the parents of the victims of school shootings?
I could.
Oh, boy.
We have a Second Amendment and right to bear arms, essentially. And I'm very strongly an advocate of that. I think you need that. I think that if you ever tried to get rid of it, you wouldn't be able to do it. You wouldn't be able to take away the guns because people need that for security. They need it for entertainment and for sport and other things. But they also, in many cases, need it for protection. If you have a house out in the country or you're in a little bit of a rough area or in a very rough area and the bad guy, let's call him, has a gun, if you don't have a gun, you're finished. You have no chance. So you need them. You want to have a lot of good people have them. But if we didn't have that, you would see a crime rate that's crazy. I'll tell you, though, it's a very interesting stat. The toughest gun laws in the United States, by far, are Chicago. And that's got one of the worst records of any city. And a lot of them are shot. 17 people died on Labor Day. 17 people died Labor Day weekend in Chicago. It's got laws that are so tough. They want to do everything. They can do anything they want. You have a gun. There's no place, maybe on earth, that has a tougher gun policy than Chicago.
Yeah, and where are they getting their guns?
There's no place that has. And they have the right to do anything they want to you. You know what happens? It's probably the worst place right now, one of the most unsafe places anywhere in this country, maybe anywhere in the world. So it's not just that. You have to be, remember this, it's the person pulling the trigger. It's not the gun, it's the person pulling the trigger. But if you ever passed something, she wants to take everybody's gun away. You know, she's always wanted that. That's because it's what she wants. She wants to take everybody's gun. You know who the ones that will never give their guns up? The bad guy. The bad guy's not giving up the gun. So that's what we have. We want safety, we want security, but you have to still adhere to the Second Amendment. Thank you. Great question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Muchas gracias. Thank you, President Trump. Our next question comes from Carlos Aguilera. He's a veteran of the construction sector here in South Florida. He says he's seen an environmental crisis grow before his eyes. Carlos Aguilera, veterano del sector de construcción. Tu pregunta, por favor, Carlos.
Yep. Good evening, Mr. President. For 30 years, I've been working in the construction industry and building water plants in Florida. I've seen with my own eyes the devastating impacts of climate change. Things that include sea level rise, saltwater intrusion in our drinking water supply, frequent flooding of our coastal communities. Given the amount of the mounting evidence of climate change, do you still believe it's a hoax?
Well, let me tell you, first of all, I built Okeechobee Dam, and I did so much for Florida in terms of when I was president, and even as a private person, I built a lot. But I did the Okeechobee Dam, which solved a big problem from the climate standpoint. What I do think is this: we can't destroy our country over over being forced to do things. They want to do I call it the Green New Deal. They call it the Green New Deal. Some people call it the Green New Hoax. They want to spend $93 trillion on the climate. Now, I happen to think that there are very important elements of climate, water and air. In my administration, I had the cleanest air on record. And yet I didn't destroy jobs. I had the most jobs of any administration ever. I also had the cleanest water, crystal clean. We had the cleanest water, the cleanest air. To me, those are the primary factors. Clean water,
He's not being
clean
serious,
air.
bro.
We went into rural parts of the country and fixed people's water. They were drinking such terrible water. It was very important to me. All of that's important. At the same time, you can't give up your country. You can't say that we're not going to have any jobs anymore. If they took their ultimate, which is $93 trillion, the Green New Deal, $93 trillion, that's more money than we would have in 20 years. We wouldn't be able to survive. We wouldn't be able to live. So I always feel that with the climate, and I have been I have been an environmentalist. I built many things. I own Doral right next door, and we did that in a very I got awards, environmental awards for the way I build it, for the water, the way I use the water, the sand, the mixing of the sand and the water. I mean, many different, but I've had many awards over the years for environmental, the way I've built, because you know about building. That's what you do. It's very important to me. At the same time, we can't destroy our country. And we're competing against countries that don't spend anything on climate change, like China and others. And they're able to make their product for tremendously less than us. And we're not going to let that happen either. We have to have a strong country, and we have to have a nice climate. And there's nobody better at that, I think, at that combination than me. I will say this, though. I hear a lot about climate, and they talk about global warming, et cetera, because they now used to call it global warming. Now they call it climate change because that covers everything, but global warming. The real global warming that we have to worry about is nuclear. The water's coming up 1/8 of an inch over 300 years. The ocean is going to rise, and nobody knows if that's true or not, but they're worried about the ocean rising 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch in 300 years. What I'm worried about is nuclear weapons tomorrow, because the power of nuclear weapons, and we're going to end up with this administration, if she gets in, we will end up in a third world war. She's grossly incompetent, and if she gets in, Kamala, if she gets in, we're going to end up in a third world war. And with me, you'll never end up in even a war. So we have to be very careful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Gracias. Thank you, President Trump.
Thank you
it's
very
time
much.
to take our last commercial break. Tomamos una pausa y regresamos en este
Break,
encuentro
and we'll
con
come back in this encounter with ex-President Donald Trump.
Commercial break, y'all. Commercial break. All right, now we can continue with calls. Lord in heaven, man. Woo! 901, you're on the line.
Lucas, this fucking gun thing this nigga just said is fucking crazy to me. I'm so tired of these niggas using Chicago as a fucking point of reference about violent crime. Like, the whole thing is bullshit. This man says Chicago has the most most strict gun laws and is one of the most dangerous. Their violent and gun crime is down. I live in a place where gun laws are fucking lax. I live in fucking Memphis, Tennessee. Top fucking dangerous city in 2023. We got lax gun laws, nigga. I could go buy a pistol tomorrow, like before 7:30, nigga. And we have the most violent gun crime. So I don't understand how people fall for that dumbass bullshit without fact checking things. Chicago's gun crime is down. Sure, it has some isolated events, but it's not even on the top 10 most dangerous cities of 2023. How the fuck do they keep getting away with this?
Because they've made it so much that Chicago's a stereotype for crime.
But like, you can literally just Google most violent cities, or you like isolate.
You Google what you question,
and you can Google literally like Chicago gun crime, and you will see that it is down. Like, I think they have like an A- or some shit.
Like I said, you Google what you question. You don't question it. No reason to Google it.
Anyways, yeah. A lot of people still got dumb nigga magnets in their brain. I just wanted to make I'm sorry. That shit just triggers the fuck out of me because it's such a piss poor argument. If people just wanted to argue, I like my guns and you know, the Second Amendment, sure, that's fine. But I hate this lie about, well, the more strict the laws, the more worse the crime, when we can see sometimes that is not necessarily true. That's it.
All right. Appreciate it. Let's go on. Don't he almost start World War III with Kim Jong-un? Nah, I don't remember that. Let's go on.
It has a question about women's reproductive rights. Yaritza Kyun se dedica al hogar y tiene una pregunta sobre salud reproductiva. Adelante, Yaritza.
Buenas noches, señor presidente. Su esposa Melania dijo recientemente que apoyaba los derechos reproductivos de las mujeres y que pudieran practicarse un aborto.
I have no idea, man.
Good evening, Mr. Trump, President. Recently, your wife, Melania, said that she supported women's rights for reproduction along with being able to get an abortion.
Mi pregunta es si usted está de acuerdo con ella.
My question is, do you agree with her?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I told Melania that she has to go with her heart and she has to do what she has to do. She has to support what she wants to support. And she wrote a great book. It's a #1 bestseller. I hope you all go out and buy it. It's really a great book. But I want her to do what she wants to do. I wouldn't want to impose what I think. What has happened is over the last 52 years, people have wanted to get Roe v. Wade out of the federal government. And they've been trying. Every lawyer, every legal scholar, Democrats, Republicans, conservatives, liberals, everybody wanted it out. It shouldn't be in the federal government. They wanted it out for many different reasons, all of them very good reasons. Mm-hmm. And I was able to do that. And with the courage of 6 great Supreme Court justices who are brilliant and courageous, because this issue has torn our country apart. For 52 years, it's torn our country apart. And if something wasn't done, it would have continued and maybe gotten worse. And I was able to do that. And I, like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions for life of the mother, rape, and incest. So I believe in exceptions. Most people do. Most Republicans do. There are some that probably don't. Of course, that number has gotten a lot larger with the years. And what they wanted, what people wanted, is for it to go back to the states and a vote of the people. It's going back to the states and a vote of the people. It's out of the federal government
the rest of
now,
us,
which is so good. And now,
I really need to be writing
the
Kamala's
states
ads.
Are voting on it. And some states, like Ohio, a state that I won by a lot, took a very liberal stance. They have a very liberal stance. Same thing with Kansas and other states. And some states took a tougher stance. But what it is it's now the vote of the people within the states. This is what everybody has wanted for 52 years. They wanted to get rid of Roe v. Wade and let it come back to the states. And I've done that, and now the people are voting on it. And you're going to see it's going to heal. It will never heal. It would have never healed if it stayed in Congress, if it stayed in the federal government. It's now in the states. The people are voting as we speak. The people are voting. Some states have completed, like Kansas, Ohio, and a lot of others. But it's going to settle a problem that was only going to get more divisive and worse. It was a big, big dispute for a long period of time. And I think the question is great, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gracias, Yaritza. Thank you, President Trump. Our next question comes also from Arizona. Carlos Garcia was part of our town hall last week with Vice President Harris. Carlos Garcia participó, hizo una pregunta en el encuentro con la vicepresidenta Harris. Adelante, Carlos.
Buenas noches, señor presidente. Es un honor estar aquí en esta noche. Gracias por contestar nuestras preguntas.
Good evening, Mr. President. Thank you for being here tonight with us, and thank you for answering my questions.
Okay. Aparte de ser analista de datos, también soy pastor de jóvenes en mi iglesia local.
Besides being a data analyst, I am a pastor for the youth in my local church.
Así que creo en el poder de la reflexión y del crecimiento a través del aprendizaje.
So I believe in the power of growth through reflection and learning.
Todos tenemos triunfos y también tenemos errores. Entonces mi pregunta es,
we can always have triumphs, but we can always also have mistakes. And my question to you is,
de sus 4 años en la Casa Blanca, ¿cuál fue algún error o aprendizaje?
Out of the 4 years you were in the White House, can you name one error or something you learned?
de esos 4 años para que nosotros podamos aprender de usted y darle nuestro voto otra vez.
During those 4 years, so we may learn from you and once more give you our vote.
Thank you very much. We had a very successful administration. Everybody acknowledges it because we had the great economy, which is so important. We didn't have inflation. We won the war. We rebuilt the military. We won the ISIS. And we didn't, the nice part is, we didn't get into any wars. As a pastor, as somebody of faith, you have to like that. Hasn't happened in 82 years that happened with a president. I didn't get into war. We had great trade policies. We changed some of the horrible policies. We did a lot of good things. So when you say about something I regretted, the thing I would say that's most important, and it's going to be most important for coming up, is people. It's all about the people. Where I had great people, things happened good. Where I had people that I didn't like as much, it doesn't work out as well. And I, unlike Biden or Harris, I get rid of them. I get new people in because I'm working for you. I want to make sure the country is running well. And if somebody's not doing their job, I make changes. So I would say this, the mistakes I made weren't big policy. We had the strong border. We had the great economy. We had all these things. But I put some people in that I wouldn't have used again. Now, when I went to Washington, as you know, I was only there 17 times in my entire life. 17 times. I never stayed over. The press informed me of that, so I don't know if it's true, but it sounds like it might be right. Very
like
little.
Trump?
I wasn't in Washington. So I didn't know the people very well, and I relied on other people to give me. And generally speaking, I got it right. Bob Lighthizer and trade. We had great trade people. We had a lot of great people. But I had some people that I would not have used again. Now I have tremendous experience. I think
he either becomes the standard for the next Republican,
in terms of
or he becomes the complete opposite.
In terms of that kind of experience, the experience you need. And I know all of the people. I know the players. I know the good ones, the bad ones, the smart ones, the dumb ones, the ones that don't have courage. You think you never really know about courage until you're tested. But I know the people very well. I know who I want, who I don't want. So I would say that in terms of knowledge and learning, it was people. If you have a good group of people or a great, like, secretary, somebody in charge of a big agency, it's all about the people. So I would say that would be the biggest mistake. Mostly good, but some bad.
Muchas gracias. Gracias, Carlos. President Trump, we have time for a couple more questions.
Well, it's okay. They said, would you like to sit down?
Yes.
I said, that is the most uncomfortable looking chair I've ever seen. I'm looking at that chair. I said, I don't think anybody could sit in that chair. No.
I didn't get one.
Let's go do a couple of more. Fine.
Wonderful. Eloy Contreras, he's a security guard at a hospital. Eloy Contreras es un guardia de seguridad en un hospital. Tu pregunta para el expresidente Trump.
Good evening, President Trump. Thank you for being here and taking these questions. When you left office, Mr. President, we were a divided nation. Instead of the United States of America, we were the divided states of America. Win or lose, if the American people to send you back to the White House or not, what specific steps will you take to unite a deeply divided nation?
So when I left office, we had an election that was in dispute by most people, I think, but certainly a vast majority of people. That was the primary division, and that was a shame. That was a shame because that should never happen with a country, and it's really too bad that it did happen. But we are much more of a divided nation now than we ever were then. And I will tell you this, that when we had the economy
how are you going to change
blazing,
it?
the best economy we've ever had.
You're not answering.
Liberals, radical left people, as I would call them, Democrats were calling me. Our country was coming together. Then we got hit with a gift from China called COVID, and we had to fight that. But for 2.5 years, almost 3 years, we were the most united. People wanted to get together. They wanted to be people that I never thought would want to be meeting and were asking to have lunch, have dinner. Our country was coming together. And the thing that will bring our country together is success. It was coming together because it was so successful. Everybody, Hispanic Americans, Black Americans, everybody had jobs. Women, men, people with high school diplomas, people without high school diplomas, people from the best colleges in the world, from MIT and Harvard, the Wharton School of Finance, from Stanford, and people with no education. Everybody was doing better than they'd ever done. Everybody, every group. And you know who was doing the best? Proportionately were low-income people. And that's a statistical fact. Everybody was doing better.
What does this have
there
to
was
do
no
with
division.
you bringing the country together?
Success will bring our country together. And I never
Okay,
knew that I'd say that.
success will bring
I
the
thought that
country
even if
together.
you were successful, because the views are so different on so many things. For instance, the Democrats want men to play in women's sports. I don't like that. I don't know if they're going to change, but I don't think I could ever change. I see the differences. I don't understand how they could want it. They want transgender operations, change a man into a woman.
I need like a Red Bull or
and
something.
in some cases, a boy into a woman without parental consent. I'm not going to go for that. So I don't know. I never thought you could come together, but I will say this. Success will bring this country together. Thank you. Good question.
Thank you. Our last question. Last week, Teresa Yedro had the opportunity to ask the last question on our town hall. Teresa tuvo la oportunidad de hacer la última pregunta la semana pasada.
That's the last question last week, and she'll have the opportunity again.
Trump,
Go ahead.
buenas noches.
All right, who is this?
Thank you.
Oh, her. Okay.
Se me hace justo hacerle exactamente la misma pregunta
Bro, hold
que
up.
le hice a
Hold
la
up. Can we pause for a second? Isn't this the same mofo that says you got to speak English? Is this not the same mofo that said to speak English? Do y'all remember him in 2016? They got to speak English. This is the same person, right? And I'm losing my shit. I totally forgot about that. Like, what? Anyways, let's go on.
Candidata demócrata.
Good evening, Mr. President. I
Crazy.
only think it's fair to ask the same question I posed the Democrat candidate.
¿Cuáles son las tres virtudes que usted reconoce en la vicepresidenta Kamala Harris?
What are the three virtues that you see in Vice President Kamala
She said
Harris?
the same stupid question.
That's a very hard question.
It's a very hard
That's
question.
the toughest question. The other ones are easy. Look, I'm not a fan. I think she's harmed our country horribly, horribly, at the border, with inflation, with so many other things. But she seems to have an ability to survive. Because, she was out of the race and all of a sudden she's running for president. That's a great ability that some people have and some people don't have.
Okay.
She seems to have some pretty long-time friendships, and that's, also, I don't call that an ability. I call that a good thing. And she seems to have a nice way about her. I mean, I like the way, some of her statements, some of her, the way she behaves in a certain way. But in another way, I think it's very bad for our country, very bad for our country. But she does seem to have some relationships that be lasting. And she does seem to be a survivor. Because remember, she was the first one out, and all of a sudden she's running for president. And the other 21 people that are running, they're sitting home watching her on television, right? So that's by far the toughest question I've had today. Thank you very much.
I appreciate your answer.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, President Trump. We've reached the end of our historic conversation. Thanks again for being here with us and answering the questions of Latino voters.
Thank you all very much. It's been an honor. Go out and vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Nos despedimos. Gracias por acompañarnos.
We say goodbye. Thank you for joining us.
Wow. Wow. My brain hurts. January 6th, part 2. This time it's personal. That was something else, man. That was definitely something else. I will say that. I'm curious how Latinos saw that town hall. Very curious. Very curious how Latinos saw that town hall, bro. 'Cause hot damn. Oof, that was rough. All right. Let's see Kamala's
history of legal and procedural obstacles to that home ownership, starting with the fact nobody got 40 acres and a mule, to redlining, to issues that this Detroit area and people around the country know to be real. So part of my plan is that we're going to give people a $25,000 down payment assistance to get their foot in the door to buy a home for first-time home buyers. The work that I'm going to do to increase housing supply in America, knowing that that's one of the reasons that rents and housing prices are jacked up, and to work with the private sector, cut through the red tape, and work to build more housing, 3 million before the end of my first term. And I give these examples.
What happened? It's not even video. Come on, bruh. What is this nonsense? What is this nonsense, bruh? The audio is copyright as well? Bruh, how? All right, let's go to 1.5 then.
Examples, and there are many more which I will offer. So, for example, the work that I will do to extend the child tax credit to $6,000 for young families during the first year of their child's life. Because as you and I both know, our families all have a natural desire to parent their children well, but not always the resources. So by expanding the child tax credit to the first year of child's life to $6,000, that gives that young family the ability to buy a car seat or a crib or clothes, the things that are so important during that critical phase of that child's development, so that they can get on the road and actually have a chance at succeeding.
You know, you said we can do it all, but we can't. Probably go to Tupac famously said, we got money for war, but can't feed the poor. Right? I saw President Obama say last week that you really shouldn't expect a president to rid the world of all of its problems. And so is it fair to tell people, hey, we can do it all? Because that's when people get disappointed when things don't happen.
But I think President Obama is absolutely correct, but it doesn't mean we can't do anything.
That's right.
So when I talk about extending the child tax credit, when I was vice president, I pushed that we would do it during our first year. And we reduced black child poverty in America by 50%. We did that. We can do that. My plan that is about building up home ownership in the black community, we can do that. My work that has been about increasing access to capital, bringing billions more dollars into our community banks, which I've done as vice president, through cooperation and partnership with some of the big banks and tech companies to get more access to capital for our entrepreneurs, for our businesses. We've done that. So we should never sit back and say, okay, I'm not going to vote because everything hasn't been solved. I share a desire that everything should be solved, by the way. I think it is what we should all want. But that shouldn't stand in the way of us also knowing we can participate in a process that's about improving things. And by voting in this election, you have two choices. Or you don't vote. But you have two choices if you don't.
Or you don't vote.
And it's two very different visions for our nation. One mind that is about taking us forward and progress and investing in the American people, investing in their ambitions, dealing with their challenges. And the other, Donald Trump, is about taking us backward.
The other is about fascism. Why can't we just say it?
Yes, we can say that.
Yeah. Reverend Solomon Kinlock Jr., I want you to meet him. He is the senior pastor of Triumph Church. Where's Reverend Kinlock?
Oh, he's here.
Come on, tell Secret Service, move out the way. It's okay. It's just the Reverend. Yeah, all right.
Hey, Reverend.
What's up, Reverend?
Madam Vice President Charlemagne,
yes,
thank
sir.
y'all for being in Detroit tonight.
Thank you.
Recently, Madam Vice President, by one of Trump's surrogates from the black faith-based community, you've been criticized by him and others for your lack of engagement to the black church. Knowing that the black church is an unrivaled place in the heart of black people, what could you speak to as it relates to a future Harris administration, how you would partner with the black church to address some of the urgent needs of the black community? Dr. King talked about the fierce urgency of right now, and as a church, Triumph Church is in that place.
So first of all, that allegation, of course, is coming from the Trump team, because they are full of mis and disinformation, because they are trying to disconnect me from the people I have worked with and that I am from, so that they can try and have some advantage in this election, because otherwise they have nothing to run on. I grew up in the black church. I grew up attending 23rd Avenue Church of God in Oakland, California.
That's church.
Yes, that is church. My pastor is Amos C. Brown of Third Baptist Church in San Francisco, California.
Yes.
I have throughout my career and as vice president and recently been actively engaged in the church and church leaders, not only so we can share in fellowship, but so we can share in what we can do together that is about supporting the community, the strength of the community, the cohesion of the community. And it is my longstanding work, and therefore my pledge going forward. I will always work closely with the church because I understand who our church leaders are and who the congregation is. We are talking about people who are driven by faith and the ability to see what is possible. By faith, where I was raised, and I know many of us were, understanding that our God is a loving God, that our faith propels us to act in a way that is about kindness and justice and mercy, that is about lifting one another up. And let's talk about the contrast here. Donald Trump and his followers spend full time trying to suggest that the measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down, which is absolutely contrary to the church I know.
He sells Bibles, though.
Where our church and my church
Bibles, though,
is about saying true leadership. The measure of that is based on who you lift up. And and then he's selling $60 Bibles or tennis shoes and trying to play people as though that makes him more understanding of the black community. Come on.
Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you, Reverend.
And God is good.
She should have linked him to Ferris.
There you go. That makes sure you get that right. Now, have you seen the clip, Madam Vice President, from the grill? It's a clip that's kind of out of context, and it says that you won't do anything specifically for black people. Have you seen that?
So good.
I've not seen that.
Well, it's a clip that has you saying that you're not going to do anything specifically for black people.
Well, that's just not true. And listen, again, you said it at the beginning of this visit, Charlamagne.
Why don't you play
one
the
of the big
clip
challenges
for her?
that I face is mis and disinformation. And it's purposeful because it is meant to convince people that they somehow should not believe that the work that I have done has occurred and has meaning. My work from the beginning of my career through today has been about, for example, we've talked about it, whether it be on HBCUs, whether it be on healthcare, black maternal mortality. I am singularly, many would say,
No, Curry, that was
one of the highest
Charlamagne.
level leaders in our country to bring the issue of black maternal mortality to the stage of the White House to address it. The work that I've done that has been about focusing on my knowledge and my experience and my life experience of knowing the entrepreneurship that we have in the community, the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams, and then tapping into that so that not only has my work been about ensuring that we have some of the lowest black unemployment ever in our country, but that also knowing that that should be a baseline that everybody has a job. And what we should be invested in is also building wealth in the community and intergenerational wealth. And I have many, many examples of that. But again, part of the challenge that I face is that they are trying to scare people away because they know they otherwise have nothing to run on. Ask Donald Trump what his plan is for black America. Ask him. I'll tell you what it is. Look at Project 2025. Project 2025 tells you the plan includes making police departments have stop and frisk policies. The plan includes making it more difficult for workers to receive overtime pay. The plan includes ending the ability of Medicare to negotiate drug prices. You know what we have done? He said he would. We did, which means that that's how we brought down the cost of prescription medication. His plan includes making it more difficult for working people to get by and to destroy our democracy. You know what he says he'll do? Terminate the Constitution of the United States.
Right.
Let me remind folks, you know what's in the Constitution of the United States? The Fourth Amendment, which protects you against unreasonable searches and seizures. The Fifth Amendment, the Sixth Amendment, the 14th Amendment. And he's going to terminate the Constitution of the United States? Which in most of those amendments, one thing or another was about a movement spurred by black people to ensure that we would be equally protected under the law. Come on.
Let's take a question from Talkback.
Hi, my name is Joshua Fisher, age 31 years old, African-American male from Las Vegas, Nevada. I'd like to ask Madam Vice President what laws does she have planned to make sure that there's a stop to police brutality and murders that have been going on viciously?
Okay.
So again, the work that I have done through my career and then most recently even when I was in the United States Senate to help write the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act.
Okay.
Cory Booker and I worked very closely on that.
Could you tell people why that didn't pass through? Give folks a quick civics lesson.
We couldn't get the votes in Congress. Well, there's a clip somewhere of me fighting with a Republican senator to actually get it passed. We couldn't get it passed. But what we did when we came in office and during the time that I've been vice president is we passed an executive order. So whereas we were trying, and I have been trying to make these things national so that everyone would have to do it, an executive order by the president and our administration says that for federal law enforcement, the following things have to happen, which we for the first time put in place. No-knock warrants, barring chokeholds, a national database, now it's for federal law enforcement, but a national database for us to collect information and track police officers who have broken the law. And this is no small issue, this piece, in addition to everything else, because as we know, we've seen plenty of examples of a police officer who committed misconduct in one jurisdiction and then goes to another jurisdiction and gets hired because there's no place that's tracking their misconduct. So these are some of the things that we've done. And then, listen, I'm still going to always work on getting the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act passed. Part of the work that I'm doing as a candidate for President of the United States includes lifting up those candidates who are running either for re-election or for the first time to Congress who are supportive of what we need to do on all of the issues we've been discussing, whether it be freedom to vote and passing the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, whether it be freedom to make decisions about your own body, whether it be the freedom to just be and be free from any brutality, including police brutality when and where it occurs.
I think a lot of the frustration comes from people who will say sometimes politicians volunteer lies because, yes, it's great to try to pass the George Floyd Policing Act, but you probably know you can't get the votes. So why push that? Why push that on people?
But I don't subscribe to that approach, and I'm going to tell you why. It took a long time for the Voting Rights Act to get done. It took the brutality of what happened when John Lewis and all those were trying to cross the Edmund Pettus Bridge. It took a lot of work over our history to do what we have accomplished thus far. And we have to remain committed.
The world is constantly changing. It's up to you to decide how to respond. Choose to be bold. To try something new, choose to reinvent yourself. That's what drive the all new.
Our parents have done before us. We all are looking to create generational wealth so that our
that's
families
fair.
and generations
That's
behind
fair.
us have
I
a better
can't be
starting
upset
point
with
than
that.
we did. It creates better
Skip.
Get to grab an ice cold Diet Coke.
Now all the candidates.
But not going to happen until the solutions, and maybe this is the point you're making about what President Obama said. The solutions are not going to happen just overnight. And the solutions that we all want are not going to happen in totality because of one election. But here's the thing. The things that we want and are prepared to fight for won't happen if we're not active and if we don't participate. We cannot allow circumstances to take us out the game, because then basically what we're saying is all those people who are obstructionists, who are standing in the way of change, they're winning. Because they're convincing people that it can't be done, so take yourself out. Don't participate. Look at that circle. Look at that vicious circle then. So let's not fall for it.
Zeke, this is my man Zeke. He's the president and CEO of New Era Detroit. He wants to talk to you about your blackmail agenda for the black community. Just your agenda for the black community, period. Zeke, what's up, brother?
What up, though? What up, though?
This is what I'm talking about.
What up, though? Welcome to
This
Detroit.
is what's up, man.
I like to say the real Detroit because I'm up in here. My name is Zeke, New Era founder, CEO. I worked on the ground here in Detroit and in black communities all across the country for over the past 10 years, actually celebrating our 10th year this past August. In my 10 years of organizing, we played a major role in the resurgence of pride and the change in mindset in Detroit neighborhoods across the city. We're not only known for the work that we do here in Detroit, but across the country in black communities, having worked in over 35 cities of the blackest cities in America. Saying all that to say, I'm extremely qualified to sit in front of the current vice president and which can be the next president of the United States of America. As I pose my question to you, I would first like to make it known that I don't have any emotional connections to politicians. I believe that this is one of our biggest flaws in the current political process. I view politics as a business, and America is one of the biggest corporations in the world. With that being said, I'm here on behalf of the business of the black community. With all that black Americans have been through and contribute to the success of America, I feel that there should be an in-depth investigation or evaluation of the lack of resources and current living conditions in black communities nationwide. My question to you is, what's your stance on reparations? We all know that America became great, off the backs of free black labor. How progressive are you on making it a priority and righting America's wrongs? It's understood that you are running for president for all people of America. Asking for specifics for black communities doesn't mean don't do for others, but black Americans are heavily asked to vote Democrat in every election for over half a century with very little in return. What are your plans to address these very important issues and change that narrative?
Thank you, Zeke.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And thank you for your work. So to your point, yes, I am running to be a president for all Americans. That being said, I do have clear eyes about the disparities that exist and the context in which they exist, meaning history, to your point. So my agenda, well, first of all, on the point of reparations, it has to be studied. There's no question about that. And I've been very clear about that position. In terms of my immediate plan, I will tell you a few of the following. One, as it relates to the economy, which is a lot of what you have addressed. Look, I grew up in the middle class. My mother, worked hard, raised me and my sister. And by the time I was in high school, she was able to afford our first home. I know what it means for an individual and a family to have home ownership. I also know, in the context of history, nobody got 40 acres and a mule. We have a history of a number of things, including redlining. Detroit knows it well. A history of, for example, something that still exists that I've worked on to address, which is racial bias in home appraisals. And we know home ownership is, black families are 40% less likely to be homeowners than others. And that home ownership is one of the surest ways to build intergenerational wealth, right? Because when you own a home.
Reparations has not been studied. Stop it. The only bill we have, or any study, that's been from California. There has been no federal study on reparations. Stop it, bro. Come on. Come on. We way past this. That's the only way you're going to get it through Congress, bro. That's the only way. It's going to have to be assigned to a commission to study the redress that is needed and the amount. I didn't say federal, bro. Nigga, then what the fuck are you talking? What are you talking about, bro? You know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to time you out, goofy nigga. Because what the fuck do you think she's talking about, stupid? Do you think she's running for a state office, dumb nigga? What? Do you know the branches of government? Do you know the difference between federal, state? What the fuck are you talking about? Well, I didn't say federal, though. Nigga, what? We gonna time you out because you're a goofy nigga. And maybe Goofy will be gone by the time you come back into the fucking chat. So you take some time Get that goofy out your system. I don't know what you have to do. Maybe you have to purge. Okay, put your 2 fingers. I don't know what you have to do, bro. But get the goofy out your system, all right? Simple as that. Lord in fucking heaven. Matter of fact, where are we? Hold on. We got 300 in here and 285. No, we need 300. We need 300 likes. Y'all can hit the likes. Hit the likes. Get us to 300, and then we'll open up the chat again. We'll open up the chat again. Get us to 300. Simple as that. Or we can do 2 memberships. 2 memberships or 300. Because this is crazy. Talking about, well, reparations has been studied. Okay. Let's continue.
And that's when if your child says, Daddy, I want to go to college, you can say, sweetheart, don't have to take out a loan. I'll take some equity out of the house. Or if your child says, I want to start a small business, same point, right? So my plan includes making sure that for first-time home buyers, they have a $25,000 down payment assistance to just get their foot in the door, because we know folks will work hard, they'll save, and pay that monthly mortgage. Second point is to bring down the cost of housing generally, because one of the issues is we have a housing supply shortage, and so that's about working with the private sector. In terms of our small businesses, which are part of the backbone of the economy of the Black community and part of the backbone of America's economy writ large. My second mother, the woman who helped raise us, was a small business owner. I know who our small business owners are, and I have convened Black small business owners way before I was running for president in my official office at the White House to talk with young entrepreneurs, mostly young, about the work that they are doing that is about clean energy work, technology, as well as the traditional, whether it be a barbershop or a restaurant. One of the big issues facing Black entrepreneurs and Black small businesses is access to capital. Because unlike my opponent, who got handed $400 million on a silver platter and then filed bankruptcy 6 times, don't forget that, calls himself a businessman. Not everybody has access to the capital, but we know in the community we do not lack for ambition, aspirations, dreams, hard work ethic. And so my work has been as vice president to increase billions of dollars into community banks. And as vice president, part of that work will also be to change the tax deduction for startup small businesses from $5,000 to $50,000, because nobody can start a small business on $5,000. And if you don't otherwise have intergenerational wealth, how are you going to be able to do it? Second point on small business is this. I'm going to do, basically, it's a program that is about a $20,000 non-refundable loan to basically businesses that don't have access to wealth and don't have those relationships, which is going to directly impact a lot of Black-owned small businesses. That $20,000 non-refundable loan is what would help somebody if they need to buy equipment, right? If they need to buy an extra truck, depending on what that business is, which we know that's a big part of what holds back our small businesses. Just having enough capital to actually pay for the things that allow you to then put your hard work into play to actually grow your business. The other piece, and this is something that is critically important, is to see Black folks, and in particular Black men, as a whole human being. And understand that we are talking about sons, we are talking about fathers, we are talking about grandsons, we're talking about grandparents, we're talking about uncles. And so I say that as a preface to say 2 other things, and then I'll keep going. One, to deal with, I mean, you like that? You caught that.
Okay, filibuster, ma'am.
To deal with health care for Black people, and Black men in particular. We know that we still have a lot of work to do to increase, for example, the high risk that we have for colon cancer, for prostate cancer, right? And to increase screenings and to make sure that people are actually going to get the screenings. Not to mention the higher risk for sickle cell. So part of my agenda is about what we will do to deal with and highlight what we've got to do to focus on Black men's health. And then a similar point is this. 40% of caregivers are men. And we know culturally we take care of our elders. And we have a lot of men in the community who are in the sandwich generation, who are trying to take care of their young kids and take care of an elder parent or relative. And it's overwhelming for people to be able to do both. And a lot of people have to end up thinking about leaving their job to just do it. Right. So my plan is this. One, in order for people to then afford assistance for hiring healthcare, home healthcare, they basically have to go broke to be eligible for Medicaid.
That is true.
My plan is this. Let's have Medicare, and this is, I've mapped it out and we can make it work. Medicare cover the cost of home health care for seniors.
Let's go.
Which means that you are looking at individuals in the context of their whole family. Because what we know is, again, understanding the culture, understanding the reality. Lots of people are having to leave work in order to do that. So these are some examples of my agenda. And overall, it is an agenda that understands, by the way, because we've talked already a lot about criminal justice, that the needs of the Black community are not just about criminal justice.
We need that money.
It's about, because here's the thing. We have brought down Black unemployment, I said this earlier, to one of the lowest levels in history. But I'm very clear. The community is not going to stand up and applaud just because everybody has a job. That should be a baseline. My agenda is about tapping into the ambitions and the aspirations, knowing that folks want to have an opportunity. If they want, they should have a meaningful opportunity to build wealth, including intergenerational wealth. And that's my agenda.
You know, there's a couple of things that you said.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. There was a couple of things that you said that people would say were talking points, but it's really just your story, even though they are becoming your greatest hits when you talk about the middle class and your godmother being a small business owner. But that's just your story.
It's my story. look, I've been in this race 70 days. Some people are just getting to know me. Yep. Other people have known me. And I owe it. Listen, I feel very strongly I need to earn every vote, which is why I'm here having this candid conversation with you and your listeners. I have to earn people's support, and I am working to do that.
Before we go to another talkback call, I want to say there was a time I had a politician tell me once that if you're running for a national election, it's bad electoral strategy to say you are going to do things specifically for black people, which is why a lot of politicians don't speak directly to their plans for black people. Is that a thing?
I don't know that that's true. I think that what is true is that I am running to be president for everybody, but I'm clear-eyed about the history and the disparities that exist for specific communities, and I'm not going to shy away from that. It doesn't mean that my policies aren't going to benefit everybody, because they are. Everything I just talked about will benefit everybody. Small business owners, whatever their race, their age, their gender, their geographic location, are going to benefit from the fact that I'm going to extend tax deductions to $50,000. Every first-time homeowner, wherever they are, whatever their race, will benefit if they are a first-time home buyer with a $25,000 down payment assistance. Everyone is going to benefit from my plan to extend the child tax credit to $6,000 for the first year of their child's life. That's going to benefit everybody. But I do realize, again, that on the issue of home ownership, for example, black people are 40% less likely to own a home. So
do you do you feel like President Obama stepped on your rollout? Because I know you've been working on this blackmail agenda for a long time, and you've been doing the outreach, with your the Opportunity Economy Tour and things like that. But then he made the statements that he made last week, so everybody thinks this is a reaction to that.
Oh, no. I mean, you just have to, no, obviously not. I've been doing this for quite some time, including before I was running for president.
The world is constantly changing. It's up to you to decide how to respond.
This interview,
choose to be bold.
And they killing
try something new on Question Remains.
Investing in our future. All broke. We here.
Incredible ride. I'll give it swimming in ice.
Then keeping the cost of
law was last used
full time on a campaign that is about instilling. You've hit on a really important point, and
if Trump wins, he's alien enemy.
More of it. Charging too much. We will lower your food and grocery bills by going after price gougers or keeping the cost of everyday goods too high. I'm Kamala Harris.
Did I not tell you though? Did I not tell y'all she was gonna be doing a blitz to black media? I told y'all. Thankfully, we had these mofos who are asking serious questions. We getting pointed answers. That's fine. That's great. Absolutely. Because the only bill that's going to stop as far as the qualified immunity would be the George Floyd Policing Act. 100%. 100%. She can't do it unilaterally through an executive order. Same thing with reparations. The point is that once you get the votes, do you have somebody in the Oval Office who's going to sign the bill? Or are they going to veto it? So this is how it's done. This is precisely how it's done. Man, would that not be crazy if a black woman actually gets this shit done? Bro, black men would be forever taking an L. I'm thinking maybe that's why people aren't, a lot of black men aren't for her. And when I mean a lot, I mean the minority. Because that would be a crazy fucking L. If she completely just does all this shit and leaves Obama in the dust. Right? If she gets the shit done and then leaves Obama in the dust. Bruh, that would be a crazy L. These Negroes, they'd be like, man, fuck this hoe. That would be crazy. I really think that some of these dudes would rather just fucking anarchy than to have her fucking get some shit done, which is crazy. Really crazy. But let's continue.
You work hard for your paycheck. You should get to keep more of it. As president, I'll make that my top priority.
Let's go to talk back.
Hi, I'm Bobby from Georgia, and I have a question for Kamala Harris. Could you please respond to Trump's claim that he's going to use the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to round up immigrants if he wins the election? This law was last used to put Asian Americans in internment camps during World War II, and I have a sneaking suspicion that if Trump wins, he's going to use this law to put anyone that doesn't look white in camps, and I'm scared.
Damn.
Yeah,
Damn.
So you've hit on a really important point and expressed it, I think, so well, which is he is achieving his intended effect to make you scared. He is running full time on a campaign that is about instilling fear, not about hope, not about optimism, not about the future, but about fear. And so this is yet another example. Look what he did in saying that those legal immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, were eating their pets. And by the way, the hypocrisy of it abounds because on the issue of immigration, let's be clear. Some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, working with others, came up with a border security bill, which was the strongest, toughest border security bill in a long, long time. It would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border. It would have reduced the flow of fentanyl into our country, which is killing people all over our country.
That's what makes this great. Are the callers. But it's the fact that they are open to have these callers give these questions. It's great, man. This is awesome. It's awesome, man. I have no problem with asking somebody direct question or asking someone questions about, hey, what about this? What about that? That's what the fuck you supposed to do. That's what have I been saying? I've been telling Negros, this is what you supposed to be doing. Instead of saying, I ain't gonna vote for her, I ain't gonna do that. No, Negro, you ask, you get an ass. Listen, we want fucking the George Floyd policing bill. What the fuck is going on with that? Well, we didn't have the votes. That doesn't mean I'm not trying to get the bill passed, trying to get that shit going, keep it going. Right? So that's why I'm trying to get people in office come these midterms that, that support the agenda. Okay. All right. I accept that. When it comes to reparations, I agree it should be studied. There's nothing more to say. There's nothing more to say to that. Now, what we need is if we have the numbers for the George Floyd policing bill, then we sure as fuck have the same numbers for the reparations bill to be studied. Because what these Negroes don't understand, what many of these clown acronym Negroes don't understand, is that once you have that commission, once they get that redress, once they come out with that package, here's what our recommendations are, bro, that's it. We can fucking go to town on that. Bitch, did you look it over? What's going on? What's happening? What's happening? Have you checked it out? Now, that's it. That's it, bro. That's it. Once you get the commission done and they give a package, it's the same thing with fucking Gavin Newsom. Once they had the study, right? This is the redress is what we recommend. It's up to Gavin Newsom now. It then goes to Gavin Newsom. If they had voted on it and it had passed, then it goes to Gavin Newsom. So once you get those numbers, then it's up to her. Now it's like, yo, you either put up or shut up. You want to sign the bitch or you're not going to sign it? What's the deal? But it's also why it's so important that the commission is not a bunch of clowns. Because the commissions are the people who are going to be coming up with the redress. Hey, this is how much, these are the recommendations that we have based on the findings of slavery in this country. Tax, I don't know, 50% tax off, fucking, private property house, whatever it is, right? Cash payment of this and this. But yeah, that's why that's so important to get that done, get that passed.
It would have
so they can start working on the study, bruh. They're not even working on the study. You have to understand, they're not working on it.
To do more work on prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, which I have done in my career. Trump got word that bill was afoot, knew it would fix a problem, and told his buddies in Congress to kill the bill. And you know why? Because he would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And he's running his campaign in a way that he does these rallies where people, by the way, walk out. And does these rallies to try and instill fear around an issue where he actually could be part of a solution, but he chose not to because he prefers to run on a problem instead of fix a problem. And we got to call it out and see it for what it is.
But doesn't the Biden administration have to take some blame for the border, though? A lot of the blame? Because, the first 3 years y'all did.
So HR 40 wasn't a study. HR 40 was to give a commission to study reparations. And to then give, as far as redress, recommendations on how to rectify what had been done. That's what that was. That was the whole point of HR 40.
Did get a lot of things wrong with the border.
No, Charlamagne, within hours of being inaugurated, the first bill we passed before we did the Inflation Reduction Act, before we did the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act, before we did the Safer Communities Act to deal with gun violence, first thing we dropped was a bill to fix the broken immigration system, which, by the way, Trump did not fix when he was president. And you can look at every step along the way. We then tightened up the asylum application process. We then worked with what we needed to do to secure ports of entry. We did a number of things, including what we did to try and get that border security bill passed. And then also an executive order that has actually reduced significantly the number of illegal crossings and tightened up what needs to happen in between ports of entry. But no, we've been working on it ever since. But
so what went wrong?
But here's what has to happen. Congress has to act to fix the immigration system, and it has been broken for a long time. Congress has to act, but it does not help when finally a bipartisan group got together to fix it, and Donald Trump told them, "Hold on, don't do that because it won't help me politically."
Why do you allow him to call you the border czar when that's not even your? That wasn't your
I'm not
role.
giving him permission for that.
Oh, you're right. But I mean, you don't push back on it because that wasn't your role.
Fact checkers have made that clear. Look, if I responded to every name he called me, I wouldn't be focused on the things that actually help the American people, and that's my focus.
That is true. Before we go to talk, I want to say something else. I don't feel like the Biden administration has treated Trump like a real threat to democracy, and that's why America doesn't realize how much of a threat he is. It's one thing to say it, but you have to act on it. Don't you believe Merrick Garland should have moved faster to put Donald Trump in prison for leading an attempted coup in this country?
The Department of Justice has independence in terms of how they make those decisions, as they should. And let's also be very clear.
What do you think?
But no. Donald Trump has been very clear that he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies. He has been very clear that he would take out the...
Live from Detroit, Michigan, and exclusively on
iHeartRadio. Come on.
Now, 60 minutes, so we just need to get to it.
I'm with you, although it's 21 days.
How are you? Because you did just walk in. You was kind of late,
well. Well, I try to be on time.
Wait, what the fuck?
Very well, Charlamagne. How you doing?
Listen, we got 20 Trump like a real threat to democracy, and that's why America doesn't realize how much of a threat he...
Wait, hold on. What? Did it just end? Bruh, what happened? Hold on.
But glad you raised that.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what happened. A majority Democratic Congress.
All right, skip.
Way before I was running for president in my official office at the White House, to hear some of the obstacles that they were facing. And one of them was what we need to do around getting folks the help to just be able to buy the equipment they need to run their business. And to
versus it coming from the government as a stimulus check. Can you provide...
Now, what is this?
Infrastructure bill? I mean, part of that is we made a decision that we were going to increase the number of federal contracts that go to historically underrepresented businesses. This was way before I was running. This was years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not new work.
Let's go to the talkback feature.
On several occasions recently, Don Lemon has stated that there's a large group of black men who believe Donald Trump sent them a personal check during COVID because his name was on it, versus it coming from the government as a stimulus check. Can you provide some clarification on this?
I'm so glad you raised that.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what happened.
Absolutely crazy.
A majority Democratic Congress fought to get those stimulus checks out, fought against resistance by the Trump administration, and won because we had a majority of Democrats in Congress. And that's why those checks went out. As we all know and grew up learning, Congress holds the purse strings. It was Congress that made that decision. And then Donald Trump, never being one to pass up an opportunity to give himself credit when no credit is due, put his name on those checks.
Really is
and sadly, it resulted in people thinking Donald Trump was responsible for and directly responsible for putting money in their pocket, when in fact, it was a Democratic majority Congress that was responsible for those checks going out.
Why is it hard for Democrats to message their wins on the economy? Like, since World War II, the economy has done better under a Democrat president. This is just a historical fact. But for some reason, the narrative is that the economy does better under Republicans. Why do people believe that? And why don't Democrats push back on that narrative more?
Well, I think that part of the issue is that Democrats probably talk about it more in terms of what we are doing for people rather than the economy, when in fact, when you do for people, the economy grows.
Mm-hmm.
And you are absolutely right, Charlamagne. You will look at the growth of the economy and compare Democratic and Republican administrations. Democrats have accelerated economic growth. My plan, for example, okay, so some of the smartest economists in the country have reviewed and compared my plan to Donald Trump's plans for the economy. From Goldman Sachs to Moody's to 16 Nobel laureates and even most recently the Wall Street Journal. And in comparing our two plans, the net result is my plans will strengthen the economy, his plans will weaken the economy. Mm-hmm. Their reports come back and include the fact that Donald Trump's plans for the economy would accelerate inflation and invite a recession by the middle of next year. My plans would strengthen the economy as a whole. You look at under what we've been doing, you look at the stock market as one of the strongest it's ever been. Wages have outpaced inflation. Inflation is going down to, I think it's now the most recent number is 2.4%. So, but those are, nobody wants to hear an Econ 101 lecture, right? But the reality of it, to your point, is that under Democratic rule, the economy gets strengthened. And certainly when you look at my plan for my presidency, it will strengthen the economy and it will help people. And as per the conversation we've been having today, perhaps the issue is that I'm going to always think about it in the context of how am I helping working people? How am I helping families? How am I helping people in the middle class? How am I helping people who have been without access, having access? That's how I talk about it. But my plan is about strengthening the economy. And I know when you strengthen the economy, that's how you do it. You do it by investing in the middle class. Let me tell you the contrast. Donald Trump thinks about the economy based on what he has done and will do. Cutting taxes for billionaires and the biggest corporations. That's how he thinks about the economy. He thinks about the economy not about middle-class people trying to not just get by but get ahead. No, he wants to stop Medicare from being able to negotiate drug prices down from the big pharmaceutical companies.
We got a couple more questions. I want to get my man Eric Thompson here because we only got like a few more minutes. But I do want to say, President Obama was out there last week waving his finger at black men. When are Liz Cheney and Hillary Clinton going to wave their finger at white women? When are Bill Clinton and Joe Biden going to wave their finger at white men? Because 52% of white women voted for Trump in 2016. Wow. 55% voted for Trump in 2020. They all voted against their own interests. When the finger waving going to start at them?
Well, thank you for highlighting that. I do have the support of over 200 Republicans who worked for various administrations, including everyone going back to Ronald Reagan to the Bushes to John McCain and Mitt Romney, and including Liz Cheney. And I'm very proud to have her support. And I believe that many of them who may have voted for Trump before are supporting me because they know the stakes are so high in terms of our very democracy and rule of law. And
so the finger wagging should start today or tomorrow.
Well, I think what is happening is that we are all working on reminding people of what is at stake, and that is very important.
Eric, real quick, we only got a few minutes.
Only got a few minutes. Thank you, Madam Vice President, for having me. Thank you, Charlamagne the God. So as an employee of a mission-driven nonprofit bank, I appreciate the efforts in that bank. I work with Invest Detroit. But as chief storyteller of the city of Detroit, I spend a lot of time dispelling information about the city of Detroit. And so I'm sure for those of us who are like me, if Donald Trump doesn't like Detroit so much, he's not welcome back. Now,
But okay, I don't want to interrupt you. I don't know if everybody knows what you're talking about. Okay, go on.
But you can get into it. I just wanted to say that we know that there's been a lot of conversation about growing the middle class, but black men have been taken out of the workforce for a myriad of systemic reasons, from mass incarceration to racial bias, fear-mongering. We know that black men are not criminals, they are criminalized, and that has taken black men out of the home, has taken wealth out of the home. And so because, especially in a city with such high poverty, I've heard a lot about middle class, but I would love to hear more about stair-stepping from poverty into middle class so they can take advantage of the opportunities and the policies you're talking about.
That's right, and that's real. So, for example, the child tax credit. When we did it, when I first became vice president, we cut black child poverty by half. And when you deal with poverty for a child, that's about the whole family, right? When you look at the work that we have done that has been about dealing with prescription medication for our seniors, black people are 60% more likely to get diagnosed with diabetes, and when you look at what people are in terms of on the verge of bankruptcy because of medical bills and medical debt, that's very real. So us capping the cost of something like insulin and prescription medication, not to mention the work that I've been doing to ensure that medical debt does not get included on your credit score. Because medical debt comes about because of a medical emergency. Nobody invites it upon themselves. And back to the point about history and the reality of life, we also know the real disparities around access to meaningful health care, which are more likely to result in people facing chronic illness and in medical emergency. So my work has been and included working to get medical debt not be on your credit score so that thing you did not invite upon yourself would not be the reason that you can't get a lease on an apartment or anything else. We have to deal with child poverty. We have to deal with poverty, period. And there are many specific ways to do it, including dealing with getting resources into the community that alleviate the burdens that hold people down. And but back to Detroit. Can you imagine? You go to a city and you say you want the votes of those people, and then you disparage the city.
Damn.
And that's what he did in Detroit. And he has a tendency to mention cities that either have a historically black majority population or a black mayor.
That's right. And that's what he did. He only did that to Detroit because Detroit is 78% black, and he doesn't want America to look like that. Madam Vice President, thank you. We got to do this again.
We're done?
According to I just want to keep going.
Okay.
I got more questions for you. But thank you.
I appreciate you, Charlamagne. Thank you.
This has been iHeartRadio's We the People, an audio town hall with Vice President.
Good town hall. Good town hall. Pretty decent. Not gonna lie. Pretty decent. Not gonna lie. Pretty decent. Do we have the Trump town hall? Do we have the Fox News Trump town hall? Bro, is this the only place to watch it? Where do you watch this, man? Where can you watch this town hall? Harris Faulkner. Where is the Harris Faulkner town hall? This is the only place I see that's playing it. And I'm like, where is he getting it from?
Some comment.
Trump hits back after being labeled dangerous by the Dems. We're gonna have to go through this piece by piece, huh? Is it live anywhere? I don't know. I don't know where we can get it. Yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up for tonight then.
Former President Trump just wrapped up a wide-ranging town hall here on Fox, just hours ahead of Vice President Harris's sit-down tonight with Bret Baier, and that will happen on Special Report at 6 p.m. Eastern. The former president took questions from many of the women who were gathered in that audience in 2020 to overturn Roe v. Wade.
They wanted it back in the states for a vote of the people, and that's where we have it. And the states are now voting for it. And honestly, some of them are going much more liberal, like in Ohio. I would have thought it might be a little bit different. And some of them are not, but it's going to be redone. It's going to be redone. You end up with a vote of the people. And some of them, I agree, they're too tough, and those are going to be redone.
So that was just a short time ago. Harris Faulkner joins us live from Battleground, Georgia, where she hosted that.
All right. We'll check in tomorrow and see if we can find it. What is this?
Vice presidential nominee Tim Walz will travel to Omaha Saturday to campaign in Nebraska's 2nd congressional district. It's a singular blue dot in a deep red state. One presidential electoral vote is at play there, and in the race to 270 electoral votes, every vote matters. Brian Mastery of WOWT NBC Omaha takes us to the Nebraska district that could, if it's close, swing the election.
The blue dot marks the spot in the Nebraska district that could break an electoral college tie this November. And now that the threat of changing Nebraska to a winner-take-all state is over, the spray-painted blue dot has been surfacing more and more in Omaha front yards.
Some people don't know what it is, but then they immediately realize, if they're aware of politics and the electoral college and how things work in this country, oh, I get it.
It represents Democrats' hopes to win Congressional District 2, and with it, one key electoral vote in an otherwise red state in the middle of the country. That's because while most states have a winner-take-all system, Nebraska, like Maine, accounts for wins inside congressional districts.
The blue dots are just making conversations and starting conversations about voting this year and how important that is.
Congressional District 2 is the purple outlier in the state's largest and most diverse city.
Yes, completely Bacon-Harris.
Mary Barrett is a lifelong Nebraska Democrat, but she supports the Republican congressional candidate, Don Bacon. And history shows there are plenty more voters like Mary. In 2020, Republican Don Bacon won his district by 5 points, while Biden beat Trump by 7.
I'm a Democrat. I'm a Harris-Bacon voter.
Ann Ashford's late husband represented this district in Nebraska in the U.S. House of Representatives before Republican Don Bacon beat him in 2016.
That constituents are always more important than political parties. It's vital to keep a level head and be the adult in the room.
Since 1992, when Nebraska changed its law to split its electoral votes, the Nebraska blue dot has only actually been blue twice, for Obama in 2008 and Biden in 2020. And both times the Republican congressional candidate won. With the rise of the blue dot in Omaha, Trump supporters are getting creative with their signs too. This homeowner has a red dot with Trump's signature hair on it, only it's been turned into Pac-Man. His appetite is to take down those blue dots.
Here's the key. With Republican and Democratic voter registrations fairly even here, there are 100,000 independents. Those voters will decide whether 5 electoral votes go to Donald Trump or 4 go to Donald Trump and 1 to Kamala Harris. Reporting from Omaha, NBC.
Okay. I like
Station WW.
Road to 270 map here in gray, all CNN the core battleground states. Now, you notice here's Nebraska, and it's got those stripes, right? The stripes. That means it's that state that gives them out, as you just saw, the electoral votes by congressional district. State itself, solidly red, but the blue stripe, that district, that 2nd district, is expected to go Democratic and for Kamala Harris. And note, by the way, Maine, the other state that does it this way, expected to be blue in the presidential race as a state, but there's one district there that Donald Trump has won handily 2 times now, again, expected to go for Trump. But all of the money, all the resources, all the attention you just saw going into that 2nd district, why is it so important? It's especially important for Democrats because of this. There's an electoral map scenario for Kamala Harris that absolutely hinges on locking it down, and it would look like this. Split the battleground into 2, sort of north and south. The polling for Harris has been a little bit better in the northern tier of the battleground than in the southern tier. So this is all just for the sake of showing you this, but this is, how the parties are thinking about this as well. If Harris were to get Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, you could see we light them up blue and she gets to 270, the exact magic number. And then the polling's been a little bit better for Trump generally in the southern tier of battleground states. So if Trump were to get North Carolina, hey, he won it in 16 and in 20. If he were to get Georgia, if he were to get Arizona, and if he were to get Nevada, now you see 270, 268.
Georgia,
doesn't
Arizona,
get tighter
and
than
Nevada?
that, or
That
does
would be
it? Because
insane.
that is where the one electoral vote in Nebraska
insane.
comes into play. Again, right now it's assumed to be Democratic, and in this scenario, it would be absolutely essential for Democrats to hang on to it because obviously, if you call it up right there, see if we can call it up on the screen, and it is not popping up, but I'll show you because I think you could do the math at home anyway. 1 less for Harris would be 269. 1 more for Trump would be 269. There's your 269, 269 tie. And the important thing is if this ever is a tie, goes to the House, every congressman doesn't get a vote, but every state gets a vote. And no matter which party controls the House, the overwhelming expectation is Republicans will have more state delegations. So a tie in baseball goes to the runner. A tie in the Electoral College almost certainly goes for Trump. That's why Democrats are so heavily invested in that district. Now, the good
Can you imagine if it goes to the states? Can you imagine that? Regardless of the people, it goes to the state. That would be fucking insane. That would be insane. You want to see it? If it's a tie, then Trump wins. Kamala has more people, but Trump has more states. Which is fucking wild, just hearing that. Bruh.
Good news for Democrats is the polling says they're ahead in the 2nd district of Nebraska. New York Times Siena poll recently, 9-point advantage. Look, it's a suburban metropolitan district. Those are the kinds of places Democrats have been surging in the Trump era. So Democrats expected to win there. But there's a scenario not too hard to conjure where they absolutely must win there.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news.
Lordy, man. This is going to be interesting. This is going to be an interesting election, I will say that. All right, y'all. That's going to be it. That is going to be it. We'll see if we can find the Trump town hall tomorrow, because I don't see it anywhere. They're releasing snippets. Says with the $20. Here's for your patience other night, cleaning with that old head. Dealing with that old head. Gun to your head, Wukong or Silent Hill 2 for information. Not trying to derail the political discussion. Wukong or Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill 2 is a remake, so default, I would have to give it to Wukong. By default, I would have to give it to Wukong. I don't think Silent Hill 2 should be nominated at all. Any remakes should not be nominated for Game of the Year. That's insane. That's my take. But anyways, that's the stream. Hopefully I'm almost done with Silent Hill 2. When we get to the bottom of the story. But that's going to be it. Everyone, take care, stay safe, be amazing. I'll catch you all mañana.